Welcome back to Factory Sealed. It is September 9th, 2018. My name is Eric Peters, and joining me today, Mr. Yam Ragan.
Hello, people.
Hey.
Hey.
And against his own free will, Mike Tyson.
Sabra.
Sup,
Sabra. Sabra.
Like soup broth?
Yeah, do you not eat your soup out of bras?
Well,
What you do is you get like you get someone's bra who's got a very ample bosom, right? You hang the bra from one hook on one side and then on a hook the other side, so that the cup is facing like kind of upwards, like convex, and you put the soup into each one. You have a soup in one side, and then you put your dipping bread on the other side.
And then at the end, when there's a little bit left, it's like the miso soup cups that you get at a Japanese restaurant that you just kind of like shoot back.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you could put one of the armholes around your neck and then hold it out with the other hand, and it's just like a buffet.
You could have two different types of soup.
Ooh. You rebel. What two soups would you put together?
Tomato bisque and broccoli and cheese.
Oh,
fine soups.
okay. Yeah. Bit of minestrone in the right one.
Oh, wait.
Cream of tomato in the left.
Clam chowder.
Oh,
Ugh,
God.
no.
Those are so bad, Eric.
No, wait, I love clam chowder. You can just shut up.
Okay.
White sauce clam chowder, not the red.
Oh.
And then,
I always think of Ace Ventura when someone says clam chowder.
yeah.
What's the best road?
sauce or the white?
I can never remember this bit.
What's the password? New England clam chowder.
Ooh. No.
That got dumb.
This is like from the start.
No kidding.
I'm not completely here against my own will.
Yeah, but it took a bit of coercion.
Yeah, I guess.
Dan Curtis isn't here. He is on a pilgrimage to harvest a new potato from Ireland.
He's not gone to Ireland.
He's gone to Iceland.
I think he said Iceland. But he meant Ireland because he wanted us to think that he was going somewhere cooler than he really is.
Even though Eric's dyslexic.
Yeah. Either way, he's going to get a new potato. Because he has been the cause that we had to have some bad audio quality the past couple of shows.
He has been banished.
We sent him on a pilgrimage.
Is Iceland known for its potatoes? I'd Google Iceland potatoes, but the problem is in the UK, there's like a frozen food store called Iceland. That's all I'm going to get.
I heard something about Iceland, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but I'm going to say it. Apparently, the population there is so small and limited in scope, and there's really not much immigration or emigration, that there is I don't know if it's a government-funded app that you can check to see if whoever you meet is some relative of yours so you don't accidentally start inbreeding.
That's brilliant.
That's amazing.
I know in the recent World Cup I heard some statistic that they it was a massive percentage of the actual population that were considered for the football team.
Yeah.
Sorry, the soccer team.
I found it. New app helps Icelanders avoid accidental incest. You meet someone, there's chemistry, then come the introductory questions. What's your name? Come here often? Are you my cousin? In Iceland,
Brilliant.
a country with a population of 320,000 where almost everyone is distantly related, inadvertently kissing cousins is a real risk.
Jesus.
So, in my younger days, as a more promiscuous man, me and my group of friends, if we ended up going home with a girl, this is going to be very male chauvinistic, I do apologise. One of the first questions when we got back home was usually, did you bag up? Meaning, did you remember to wear a condom? Right? So in Iceland, is it like you go around to your mate comes back from, one night stand? Wasn't she sister, was she? Just checking. Cousin?
No, fortunately,
Check.
cousin.
Did you use the app? Did you use the app?
I'm glad that something that I remembered for this show was not
Real.
complete shit. The Icelandiga app, or app of Icelanders. Yeah, there you go. Don't fuck your cousin. It's not a good
Lord.
feeling when you realize that girl is a second cousin. That's a direct
Sounds like
quote.
you're talking from experience.
People may think it's funny, but the app is a necessity.
Is it a free app?
I hope so, because you just bump the app before you bump in bed. That's the catchy slogan. I hope Dan downloaded the app before he went.
Do you think like the two people are laid in bed like, shall we take the next step? Yeah, let's take the next step. All right, boot up your phone. Let's have a look.
Oh shit, you're my sister. Like that would just be an instant mood kill. Like, oh man, I gotta check to see if I'm related to you.
I knew it was too good to be true that we had loads in common. And that we really
We even have the
connected.
same dad. I knew that was suspicious. Good lord, I'm gonna stop reading that article because that's a bit much. I imagine Head's pretty similar.
Oh no! Apart from those like children playing on the football field, I didn't see anyone else other than Dan and Crystal, and it's questionable whether Crystal was real. So,
Did you see that picture that Dan posted not too long ago about the Het fun days?
It looks like Silent Het.
No shit. Come
It
get
really
murdered.
does.
Come sacrifice your children. Free rent for a month.
Oaken is just covered in a constant fog. And there's just ghostly figures everywhere, but nobody actually lives there.
I didn't hear any air raid sirens when I was there.
Yeah. Did you have a radio that started crackling?
Yeah.
Was there a guy looking for his daughter there?
Did you see a little girl named Cheryl?
What's going on in this town?
Have you seen my daughter? Have you seen my girlfriend? She's tall, blonde hair, loves toilet paper. Her name's Crystal.
I was gonna say the
Doesn't
same
do
thing.
so well in the desert.
Overheats quickly.
I feel a bit guilty laughing about that while Dan's not here.
Too soon?
Nah, it's been a while now. Sure.
Nah. It's all right.
I'm in a negative mood today. It's fine.
Yeah, we're going to get a different version of Mike. Fun Mike.
Because I'm normally droll and dull.
Mike Tyson. How is everyone, aside from Mike being in a bad mood?
Good.
Good?
All right.
Good?
Fine. It's now we're coming into colder weather, so I can wear jeans again.
Time to start looking for a job?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Reality sets in.
Oh, shit, we're actually here and we have to survive?
I think I'd get bored being unemployed that long.
Ugh. I hate long weekends off.
Oh, the grass is greener, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I find ways to fill my time.
Lots and lots of internet videos of promiscuous nature.
Yeah, YouTube and other ones.
Spending lots of money.
Yeah, lots of money I don't have.
Oh,
I'm
speaking
not
of
going to replace anytime soon.
speaking of spending money, last show we were talking about whether or not I should buy a certain console. Well, I bought it.
I thought you'd talked yourself out of it, honestly.
I was fairly convinced I'd talked myself out of it as well, but one of these deals came along that I just couldn't turn my nose up at. I ended up getting an Xbox One X for $300. Never played the Scorpio edition too. I'm like, yeah, right. I mean, I was on the fence about it at 500, so for almost half off, I guess I have to throw at it. And let me
To
tell
be
you
fair,
what.
yeah, when you said how cheaply you'd got it, I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, and the circumstances in which I got it too, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna make we're gonna make good of a bad situation here. That thing is exceptional. I'm not gonna mince my words. It is. I've shit on the Xbox quite a bit this generation, but man, what an incredible machine! Just in terms.
Fast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, the UI sometimes oddly hangs up. I can't stand the Xbox UI. It's so cumbersome.
Yeah.
There's ads everywhere, and it doesn't flow. The XMB, or the modified version of the XMB for the PS4, it's great. It's just what I'm used to, and
I was going to say, though, is your issues with the Xbox One lack of familiarity?
I mean, I'm a few weeks into this thing now, and I've played it every single day, and it's still just not. There's that lack of intuitiveness that the PS4 has. Like, PS4, here's your game, scroll back and forth, or you go up to go to your settings, and that's it. This has it has home, where it's got still advertisements, and then you can go down and go to my apps and games with a few that are pinned there, but then to go into it to see all of them, you have to click on that button, or then you can go down to something else. And then they have a Microsoft Game Pass page, and then they have the store page, and then sometimes the Game Pass page loads you into the store. It's really cumbersome, and pressing the Microsoft button doesn't take you back to the home screen. It pulls out this little wedge on the left side that you can go through different settings up top, or press home and then go back to the home page. It's probably something I'll get used to over time, but it's a bit more of a learning curve.
Eric, I don't think you've spoke about it on the show, but you know all your issues you've been having with your HDR and your PlayStation?
Yes.
And any issues with the Xbox? Because you were trying to figure out whether it's your PlayStation or your TV.
Yeah, quick recap of that, because I've been sharing with Mike quite heavily about what's been going on. But as soon as I got my HDR TV and the PS4 Pro, I started noticing that the HDR was messing up quite heavily, to the point where I just stopped using it. It was kind of a chore to get to turn on. As soon as it would turn on, or I would turn it on, everything on the screen would get washed out and blown out with orangish contrast, and it just became a headache. It was doing the exact same thing with the Xbox, and then I reset literally everything and started from scratch one more time. Like, let's see if this works out. And I think part of the reason was I was trying to force things into HDR that weren't HDR, or I was trying to force HDR content into HDR before it was ready to turn into it. So,
but hold on, you say that you might have been trying to force non-HDR content into HDR.
Yes.
My TV, I think yours is much fancier than mine. It knows if it's not HDR, so it just doesn't put HDR on.
Yeah, so mine, you can actually go to the display settings and physically switch it on.
I had to physically switch mine on in the first instance, because when I first got mine, I was playing God of War, and I was like, oh, this looks amazing in 4K, and then literally 5 minutes before I was about to finish God of War, I realised I hadn't actually turned the HDR on the TV on.
Oh, shit.
But I put that setting on the TV, but if I'm playing my PlayStation, if I play a game that's HDR compatible, it comes up saying, the TV pops up saying it's now in HDR mode, and then if I go into another game, the screen goes black for a second, then comes back on, it's in non-HDR.
Yeah, and for some reason mine has now started automatically switching.
Oh, okay.
So I think part of the issue might have been I had a setting ticked in there somewhere that I couldn't find to uncheck. But I think the other part of it too is that I was thinking incorrectly that I had to go in and manually turn HDR on every time. So it's like, all right, I'm going to load in God of War. I'm going to flip on the HDR and then go into the game, and it would look like shit. Instead of letting the TV detect the HDR signal and make the change on its own.
Oh,
so yeah,
everything's my child.
Everything's great now. It looks fantastic. I haven't had that single washout issue yet, but I haven't played the PSVR since. So that's the one thing that was causing some of the issues. Was as soon as I'd be done playing PSVR, I'd come back to the home screen of the PlayStation, and everything would just look flat and muddy. But I think with the new receiver that I put in that does pass 4K HDR content, it's processing things through properly.
See, I'm having a bit of an issue with mine, but I've looked online and apparently it's a very, very common issue with 4K HDR TVs and the PS4 Pro. It seems to be the handshake between the console and the TV through the HDMI. Something to do with the HDCP settings. Basically, every now and again, the sound cuts out just for a moment. And then every now and again, the screen will cut out just for a moment as well. And the only way I've seemed to, if it starts doing it, the only way I can seem to be able to rectify it is pull the HDMI out, then put it back into the back of the PlayStation. It seems to fix it for ages, and then a few hours later, it'll start happening again.
Weird.
But I've been doing loads of searching online, and I'm not the only one with the issue apparently.
Huh. Yeah, I'm just glad that it's been sorted because I was getting really annoyed. I was thinking this 75-inch Sony XBR was fucked up, and I tried calling Sony, and they're like, "Oh, it's out of warranty, so go stuff it."
You're on your own now.
It's really cool though because the TV has a setting where Sony can actually remote into it.
They're watching you, Eric.
Well, they are
Watching you
It's
jacking
all right.
it.
Yeah, I don't care.
They've seen you with that VR porn on.
I don't care. Whatever. I ain't bothered.
Naked apart from the VR headset.
Yeah, whatever. Nothing I'm afraid of. I ain't ashamed of it. So the Xbox One has been... It's also caused me a little bit of heartache in the past month as well, because the first thing I did was pay the $10 to change my gamer tag. And then I got Game Pass, which... That is no joke. That is probably one of the best gaming deals you can possibly get. So if you're not familiar with what it is, it's $10 a month, and it's just this huge library of games that rotates on a monthly basis. Some of the games are in there for quite a while. Others rotate in and out each month, but they spread it out throughout the month. So you'll get some new games at the beginning, some in the middle, and some at the end. And I kind of went on a little bit of a download spree and didn't realize that in the time since I had last checked, our internet provider had removed the unlimited data restriction and put a terabyte cap on it. So 2 days into the billing cycle, I get an email saying, "Hey, you've used 90% of your data for the month." I'm like, what the fuck? That can't be true. Yeah, I downloaded over a terabyte worth of games in a day and a half. So
if you download a game from the Game Pass and then they remove it, like, do they tell you before? Do they give you a heads up that they're going to remove a game from the Game Pass library?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Frankly,
I would assume it's like PS Plus, where once you've downloaded
Nope.
it, as long as you're signed into your profile, you...
Nope.
No?
That's like Games with Gold, which is more PlayStation Plus, where those are the games you
Yeah,
are
I know that
given to
exists.
keep.
Yeah, I know that exists, but surely... Because can you play the Game Pass games whilst you're offline?
Yeah. You physically download them.
So if they disappear off... Yeah, that's what I mean. If they're disappeared off the library, as long as you're signed in, then surely you can use them still?
Maybe it does something
know,
like
I'm
what
presuming
Spotify
it.
does, where it checks in every so often to verify.
Yeah.
Where if you haven't connected to the internet in X amount of time, it won't open. I don't know.
It probably has to re-authenticate if that's.
I'm not too concerned about it because I'm never physically offline with those consoles. They're just hardwired.
Interesting. It's a really sweet deal, though. It sounds like a Netflix for games.
Yeah, it's a fantastic $10 a month, and then I paid the $60 for Xbox Live. I don't know if that's really going to be worth the yearly thing, but because I don't really play multiplayer games anymore.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the last time I jumped online and played something multiplayer.
Mario Kart.
Rocket League, Mario Kart.
Well, for something that was a paid subscription.
Oh.
Speaking of which, isn't the Nintendo thing supposed to start becoming paid pretty soon?
Mid-September is all we know.
Ugh,
And that is pretty much all we know.
that's interesting.
Although there's a bit of controversy with that, because obviously with that you get the cloud saves, and there are games up on the store already that have... some of them have it and some of them don't. There's wording that it won't be compatible with cloud saves, Nintendo Online cloud saves.
It will or won't?
But some games won't.
Huh.
I think one of the not that it's that important on the Switch anyway, not for me anyway. I think one of the FIFA games has a thing up there about it not being compatible with Nintendo Online cloud saves, but then on things like Mario Kart, it doesn't say it specifically isn't there.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that also gonna
it.
introduce the ability to back up your Switch so that if you lose it, you don't lose everything?
I'm not sure if it's going that far. I just know it's cloud saves.
Yeah, because apparently right now, if your Switch dies or crashes or whatever, you're just done. You've lost everything.
There's been a few internet celebrities who have internet personalities that I listen to who they've had an issue with their Switch, and Nintendo have been ace and sorted it out. They've sent it off to them, but they've sent it back and their Switch has been wiped, or they've got a brand new one and they've just lost like 80 hours of Breath of the Wild.
Jesus. Yeah, I'm still debating whether to switch my region on the Nintendo Store, but because I think I might actually have to get a whole new friend ID and stuff like that, friend code. But I don't actually know what happens, so I've just been afraid to click it, and I've just kept my UK account.
Surely you could submit like a request ticket to find out what would happen.
Yeah, I just haven't really got around to it, and I just don't want to lose all my data and stuff like that. I'm just a bit. It's all a bit up in the air what happens with all your Switch data.
It's just the console that's region orientated, isn't it? You can't even do separate profiles.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't think you can. Are you sure?
Oh, you're talking like separate profiles in different regions. You can have multiple profiles on one console.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think you can have them different regions. Not like on the PlayStation, you could have different regions.
Yeah.
Got it.
So.
Oh.
Although, hang on, wait. No, hang on. If it works like the PlayStation version, no, you can have it. I've heard of somebody doing this where they have one profile that's on the US store and one on the Japanese store on the Switch. Yeah, you can, Tom.
Oh.
Just make a brand new Nintendo account in your new region, and then when you do your profile on the Switch, when you log into your Nintendo account on there, just log it on there.
So I could buy a game on my North American account and play it on my UK account?
Don't know if that'll work.
Okay.
That might not work, but then you just all of your friends that you have on the Switch, you just make sure you're friends with them on both accounts.
Oh, okay. Okay,
I would
that's
say
fine.
is the way around that. It's not like you're achievement hunting or anything on the Switch, is it? So
Exactly. Yeah.
I've kind of given up trophy hunting on PlayStation.
It was never a thing for me.
I liked
cool.
achievements back in the day on the 360. I kind of got into that for a bit.
Oh yeah, what's your gamer score? Oh, I only got 10,000.
That was definitely me.
Yeah. You were that asshole.
Sounds just like you.
Yeah, thanks for that voice. It's really attractive.
So all of my goodies from Missouri finally showed up.
Yay.
I was concerned about it for a while.
You fixed that Game Gear yet?
No, okay, so I'm going to... this is how things go. When I look for something, I'll look for it forever and not find it, and then as soon as I find it, I start seeing it everywhere. It was the exact case with Legends of Heroes Trails in the Sky. As soon as I bought that sealed copy, I started finding copies wherever I went. And same thing with the Game Gear. Bought this one, doesn't work. I was just at one of the local stores the other day. They had 3 Game Gears in, all perfectly working. One of them even had a screen mod. $40.
Ah, what?
So I think what I'm going to do, if it's still there today or tomorrow, I'm going to buy that one and just swap the case. So I have the blue one.
Swap the case?
Yeah, just pull the guts out from the black one and shove it in the blue one.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
But then what are you going to do with the other Game Gear?
Fuck, I don't know. Nail it to the wall.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been fun. I actually spent a whole bunch of time the past couple weeks setting up my spare bedroom as just a game room because I got that CRT, and I started unpacking different boxes of consoles. I'm like, hey, you know what? I never really played any of my old consoles because it was such a chore to dig out the tote and then go to the 2 totes that had wires and dig through those for the right wires, and then go to the controller bin and dig out the controllers, and then go to the game bin and dig out the games. So I bit the bullet and spent some money and bought a stand to put all the consoles in, bought some switchers and ran all the cables and hung new shelves and just kind of straight up organized everything. So it's walk in, turn the TV on, turn a console on, and it works. And
Nice.
man, that's been a blast. Every night, Christy and I go in there and play games for an hour, hour and a half, and
Nice.
it's great to just be able to pull a game off the shelf, pop it in, and go.
Yeah, I mean, why have all that stuff if you can't have it out on display ready to be used?
Yeah,
It's the dream, son.
It's
Yeah,
It's really cool.
And a little pro tip: if you've got loads of controllers, which I imagine you do, I put each controller in a Ziploc bag.
I
with the
tried
cable
doing
as
that.
well.
I tried doing that. I'm not that organized. So all I've done is I've put some. I've attached a Velcro strip to like a really long one to each cable, and I force myself whenever I'm done, Velcro up the cable, and that way, so I leave 2 controllers by each console.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Whatever works.
Why
For you.
why the Ziploc bag, Tom?
So then, all like the cable as well as the controller just is like, contained in the bag, and then you end up just having a bunch of bags in a drawer, and so the cables don't get all tied up with each other.
Ah.
That's one way. I mean, also then because then you're not because it's actually bad for the controller to wrap a wire around.
Oh,
really
yeah.
tight.
Well, you can do it loosely, but tightly,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
one of my pet hates that is with controllers when you see people like wrapping them up really fucking tightly, and you can see it right where the wire goes in. It's just pulling on it. And just
Yeah.
I'll usually give like a 6-inch lead from the controller, and then I'll like spread my pinky and my thumb apart, and I'll wrap the controller around that distance so that nothing's too
Yeah.
terribly tight.
Yeah. That's cool.
So yeah, that's definitely been a good time. I have admittedly discovered one version of a Mega Man game that I hate playing.
Who's that?
Mega Man X4 on the Sega Saturn.
No, who's Mega Man? I've never heard of him.
Oh, we'll talk about him in a minute. Just you hold your tits.
All right, hold it. Oh, fuck, this bra's got soup in.
Full circle. That Saturn controller is not laid out for Mega Man games.
But you playing it with the big circular one?
No. I never understood the Genesis and why they wanted to have 3 buttons straight across. The D-pad style configuration where top, bottom, left, right always made more sense. When you're playing Mega Man, you need to be able to jump and shoot simultaneously, and being able to hold your thumb over the 2 buttons in a comfortable fashion, like the Y and the B. You can't do that on the Saturn unless you hold your thumb at a sideways angle, and it just doesn't play well.
Yeah.
It looks great. The audio on it's fantastic, but fuck it. It was.
Yeah.
I thought the Saturn had 6 buttons.
It does. It has 2 rows of 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
could
it's
you not
a bit odd.
put shoot on the...
I don't
Could you
think you can
not reconfigure the
reconfigure.
controller?
I don't think you can.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
It's odd, like
that-
a lot of the Mega Drive and Genesis games, they just didn't lend themselves well to the controller. Like they've released a port of Street Fighter for Mega Drive, and ABC are light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, and then you press start to switch the buttons to kicks.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's like Mortal Kombat games on the Mega Drive, because I used to have Mortal Kombat 2. The punches on that, so A was punch, and if you wanted to do like the slightly higher punch that you could do, you had to do A and a direction. So the only way you could do the standard one. But a lot of games on the Mega Drive, fair play to them, they did it because you could get a 6-button controller for the Mega Drive, so it'd have A, B, C, and X, Y, Z.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of games you could configure it for that, because when we played Beyond Oasis on the last show, you could change it to a 6-button configuration.
Okay, interesting.
And I think that's when they when they created the Saturn, they borrowed the idea from the 6-button Mega Drive controller. Because I don't think they're too dissimilar, to be honest.
No, they're not. They're not too terribly different.
The best controller they did, I think, was their final shot with the Dreamcast.
Well,
That
yeah,
was a
that
good
kind of set
controller.
the stage for the Microsoft or the Xbox controller.
Yeah,
That thing was real innovative, as you
Yeah.
would say it, Tom.
innovative.
I think that's how Dan says it. innovative, innovative. No, it was the first one that had the analog triggers.
Yes.
The configuration of the joysticks being offset.
Yeah, and some like
Actually, no, there
the,
wasn't the offset. Never mind.
you had the little VM unit in the middle as well. That cool
I have
little.
so many of those memory cards. Christy and I were
Really?
playing some Mortal Kombat Gold, and she's like, "What the hell is this thing?" I'm like, "Take it out and show you." And I plug it together, and there's certain games you can play that you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little micro Game Boy.
It was neat. I remember playing Resident Evil Code Veronica on Dreamcast, and I think the little VM unit is used as the your lifeline.
That's cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. We've definitely had a lot of fun with that. I just have a bag of like 15 or 20 of them because when GameStop was stopping, or they were getting rid of their retro games, they just pennied out all these VMUs. Like, I'm gonna buy all of them.
Are they worth anything?
I don't think so. And even if they are, I'm not going to get rid of them.
I'm just going to let them collect dust.
Yeah. Visual memory unit.
Oh, is that what it stands for?
Yep. Yeah, VMU mini games, and they've got adapters at the top where you can plug them into each other in battle. I think there's a Pokemon thing you could do with it. It's pretty cool. Dreamcast was a neat little console. I know we've talked about it a lot, but man, that thing was ahead of its time.
yeah, it really was. I still would quite like one.
They're
'Cause
not
there's
too
quite
terribly
a few-
expensive.
No, and there's quite a few games that are still kind of stuck on that system a little bit.
I need to get a second one. I like the black one. I don't like that it's the Sega Sports Edition. Like, I don't give a
Why not?
shit
You love
about
sports.
Oh, I do, especially that soccer. That kicky ball.
Kicky Rounders.
Yeah. Speaking of Sega, though, I am a bit disappointed. I've come to discover that the Gen 1 Genesis that I got is bad.
It's bad.
Bad.
It's bad.
I
It
love the
doesn't-
Gen 1.
No,
Mega
it
Drive.
doesn't work.
Oh.
So
I
we
hated
thought
the
there
Mega
was
Drive 2. It's
we
horrible.
thought there was an issue when we were in Missouri with the LCD panel not being able to process the sound coming out of it or whatever. But got it home, hooked it up to my CRT, no audio, and started looking into it. And that's kind of a common issue with the Gen 1s where you'll get video and no audio because there could be one of the plethora of capacitors have blown or something could have come unsoldered and everyone's
Something
like,
in that blast processing.
those high definition graphics. Some people are saying, yeah, the best course of action for repair is to take a 3.5 to RCA cable out of the headphone jack on the front. Well, I guess that works, but
From what I remember when you showed us the picture of that, the volume was missing the switch as well.
it was.
Yeah.
It
Little indicator
was.
there that it's been roughed up a little bit.
You know, and
I
I
used to have
had
a Gen
I
1
had
Mega
extra
Drive.
Genesis to drop onto the top. I had the Gen 2s, and the Sega CD that I have has the extender on the end of it so that it'll fit the Gen 1. But when you take that extender off and put the Gen 2 on there, the Gen 2 hangs off the side and looks like crap.
Oh, yeah. Is your Mega CD the one with the tray that slides out, or is it the pop
No,
open?
it's the pop open.
Ah,
I wonder if they did a Gen 2 of the Sega CD.
the one that slides is really cool.
I think that was the original, wasn't it?
I think
Yeah,
it
it's
was.
the one that used to fit under the Gen 1, didn't it?
Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah, no, mine definitely
had
sits
one.
on the side.
Like a
Yeah,
Discman.
that was the one. That was the one for the Gen 2. I used to hate the Gen 2 Mega Drive.
I love it.
Yeah, same.
We had
Me
a
too.
Gen 1 one at home. I just think it looked so cool. Like it
It's-
was just a very classic look.
Yeah, like that mean black with the gold 16-bit letters. Thought it was really neat.
Tell you what, I like the Sega CD. We've been playing a few games. I bought Flashback for it, and
Nice.
it's cool. The Sega CD is really cool. They've got
Yeah, it
some
was really
sweet
ahead of
games
its
for it.
time.
I really want to start getting some of the RPGs for it. I think they have Lunar on there, and
You should look into Shining Force CD
oh yeah,
as well. That was a very popular Sega CD game.
the music
say
when
I've
you
ever
boot
played
up
a
the Sega
CD
CD for the menu is intense. It's definitely like early 90s futuristic sci-fi representation. It's quite funny.
Which one's that?
Just the menu music for when you boot up the Sega CD.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a neat. I think I didn't know anybody that had one.
That was another one of those
growing
things
up.
as a kid that I really wanted. Like, oh man, look at this. I think I found a picture of the original one where it sits underneath.
Yeah, that's the one that my friend had, and I just thought it was the coolest thing.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
It looks like a really ugly spaceship.
Yeah. If you go on to that link that you've accidentally sent above it, it has the side one at the side.
Yep, that's the one I have.
Right inside the image. Yeah.
What's that Victor Wonder Mega?
A Victor Wonder Mega?
Yeah, underneath it.
What are you talking about?
So
Oh, okay.
if you
No
look to the
idea.
right of that, the Sega CDX, do you guys know about that?
Oh, okay. So I think this was when they made a model that was just both the Genesis and the Sega CD together. They just put it into one system. It was probably Japan only.
This was kind of right around the time that like portable CD players really became all the rage, and Sega's like, well, we've got a CD-based console. Why don't you just stick it in your pocket? And these things are exceptionally rare. I saw my first one at a store probably about 2 months ago, and the person who had brought it in had found it in his mom's closet during her estate. She had passed, and recalled that when he was a kid, he got this for Christmas, opened it, played it once, did something, and his mom took it away and forgot about it. So it'd been sitting in its box for 30 years. Never, I mean, it had everything. The original twist ties still around the mouse. The rubber feet had no scratches on them or anything. Like, this thing had never been touched. $400. Like, I don't like Sega that much. But that's one of those like systems I'd like to have one day.
And which one was that one again?
The CDX.
Oh, the CDX.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, it's just a portable Walkman. It honestly looks like a
It looks like a
portable
disc one
CD
with a
player
cartridge slot at the top.
that you stuff a
Yeah.
Genesis cartridge into the back.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Look how short the cable is for the controller.
I think that's just for the picture, Tom.
Okay. Because it might not be.
I think that's just for the picture, Tom.
I think it's just, it might be that because it's portable, they think that you're going to be. Oh, I don't. Fuck knows.
Yeah, I think I have the Sega Genesis or the Sega CD1 because I'm looking at this. There's a Sega CD2 with the Genesis 2, so they've changed the format. Fortunately, it still works. It just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. And you have a 32X as well, right?
I do. I have two of them now.
I never actually played one of those.
There's not many games on it.
No, there's a Sonic game
Doom
for it, I think.
32X is phenomenal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really good.
Huh.
Virtua Racing, Virtua Fighter, all those fun things.
Nice. Nice.
So, yeah, it's been a good couple weeks of unboxing and just kind of playing some old stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the way you've set it up.
Yeah,
You should, when you're finished, you should put a picture on the Facebook.
Oh, yeah, I definitely will. I just haven't had time to kind of put the final touches on it. And I still have some extra shelving that I need to put up for my Super Nintendo and all those things.
Can you Photoshop your car steering wheel into the back when you take a photo? of it?
I like how that's become a thing. Because I was looking through the Facebook page and like whenever I'll get a new game or something and post a picture of it, 9 times out of 10 it's in front of my steering wheel. And Zach does the same thing when he sends me a picture of a game he picks up. It's like, oh, it's a steering wheel, here's a picture. Can't wait till I get home.
Next time I buy a game, I might have to just like ask my Uber driver if he wouldn't mind taking a photo of the steering wheel.
Leave him a tip at the end.
Yeah.
Or just go up to a parked car and hold it in front of the window with the steering wheel in the back.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
Hello.
a very important demo came out 2 days ago.
Backdoor Sluts 21.
I think I remember it was at Shining Resonance.
It was Murder on the Eurasia Express 2.
The Murdering.
Murder again.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Shining Resonance Refrain on the Switch.
I don't think that's it.
Murder on the Eurasia Express, she's got a ticket to ride.
Oh, yeah.
The Backdoor Sluts crossover you always wanted.
Backdoor Sluts v. Fisting
there's
Firemen.
number 3 as well. She got a ticket to Raha Hyde.
Some straight up Beatles humour for you there.
Oh dear.
Let me tell you about Mega Man 11.
Oh, let me
Yes.
tell. Yeah. All right then. Go on then.
We are just a hair over under a month away from the release of this thing, and Nintendo was supposed to do a direct last week that got canceled at the last minute due to the tsunami, right?
The earthquake.
Earthquake, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it kind of left a lot of these publishers in a little bit of a limbo, like, well, we've scheduled our marketing campaigns around this reveal, so we're just going to announce this crap anyway. You know, stuff like Civ 6 for the Switch was just randomly announced and all this and that. And then a Mega Man 11 demo just randomly dropped for the Switch one night, and then the next day it came out for PS4 and Xbox. I was cautiously optimistic about Mega Man 11 because, you know, the history's been a little bit tumultuous and they've kind of forgotten about him for a while. And
Yeah.
this demo has completely changed that. And I'm not just saying that because I'm ridiculously obsessed with Mega Man, but this game, I think, is setting itself up to just be one of the better Mega Mans. Because you downloaded the demo, right, Tom?
Yeah, I grabbed it on the PS4 yesterday. I only spent about half an hour with it, but it was fun.
It's
very polished. Like I don't play many modern 2D side scrollers, but it looks like they've really looked after Mega Man this time around.
I know a
Do
lot
you
of
have
people...
any history with Mega Man, Tom?
Not really, to be honest. I don't think it was big in Europe at all growing up. I like Mega Man in general. What do you think? Because I didn't hear anyone ever play Mega Man.
Me neither, but I was more of a Sega boy as a kid.
Yeah,
so,
same.
Mega Man was a big Nintendo thing, wasn't he, really?
Yeah, true.
I know, obviously, he had Mega Drive games, but generally his bread and butter was on the Nintendo. Because I've never played a Mega Man game.
Never.
Never, no.
Well, we're going to change that.
Well, no. Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is, as someone who's never played a Mega Man game from this demo that you've played, would this be a great place to start, or do you think I'd really need to go back and play the others first? Speaking as a general video game fan, not the ridiculous Mega Man obsessive that you are, Eric.
I think it could be approachable.
I reckon Mega Man X is a good place to start.
X is a great place to start because this game incorporates a lot of... It's a weird mishmash of traditional Mega Man with some of the stuff that X had incorporated. They've incorporated 2 new mechanics into this game that it kind of took me a while to get used to because it's so out of the norm for what you could do in a Mega Man game. So there's 2 new mechanics called Power Gear and Speed Gear. So you have this timer that you can activate using either L or R. And if you press it with L and you have one of your power-ups on, it will charge that power-up even more so than just holding down the attack button. With Mega Man, you can hold down the blaster and he charges it up and fires it. Well, when you have an enemy's suit on, you can charge that up even more so. And the further you get towards being completely full, the more powerful it will be. But if you let it fill all the way up, it shorts out, and then you lose that ability as it cools down. The other one is speed gear, where it essentially gives you the ability to slow down time for however long it takes to fill that gauge. And they've incorporated a lot of new puzzles into the game that require you to utilize both of these on the fly. And for example, the section, Tom, did you get to the section where they drop these block puzzles down on a conveyor belt that you have to make your way through before you smash into the spikes on the left?
Yes.
The first time I hit that, I died. All my lives gone because I wasn't utilizing the speed gear mechanic. I was trying to play it like going through the Heatman level where you're just trying to jump down as quick as you can and be faster than the game, forgetting that they're saying, hey, here's this new mechanic, figure out how to use it.
Yeah, you have to use that, and I actually didn't use it at all until you had to, because it was just more to think about. I actually couldn't understand how to use it. I did the tutorial, but I still wasn't sure what I was doing, if I'm honest with you. I was just not really my kind of... it doesn't click easily with me, that kind of stuff. But what else did I... Oh, yeah, and I found myself not really putting on the enemy suits very much.
Yeah, I've always been more of just a straight
the blue
Mega Man blaster.
Yeah. They were useful every now and again. I can't remember which... apologies, I don't know the other enemies, but... Whichever one it was, where if you push square, you kind of zip across the screen quickly, like a drill.
Yeah, I didn't recall what the name of it was. There was the electrical one, and then there was the one that had the flaming spike.
Yeah, the one with the flaming spike. That was pretty good for getting quickly across the screen. If the when the spikes were following you on the conveyor belt, that was pretty useful. But otherwise, yeah, just stick with OG Mega Man.
So the thing I was pleasantly surprised about was. They kept the difficulty. That
was going to be my next question.
It's almost going back to early Mega Man style difficulty. Mega Man X isn't super difficult, and some of the later Mega Mans, like 9 and 10 that they did for the PS3 or the previous gen consoles, really ramped up the difficulty. And this modern version is harkening back to that. So they're incorporating new gameplay mechanics with that traditional style of difficulty. And the other thing that blew me away was how long these levels are. It took me 3 full attempts before I even made it to the boss.
I don't even think I got there.
And then I got to the boss and just got my ass absolutely tossed. Because I just didn't have a firm enough grasp, or I hadn't ingrained it into my gameplay style of, hey, you have to utilize both your power gear and your speed gear to best this boss. And I got him halfway through his health, and then he disappears and comes back as a different version of himself. So then you're not only learning one boss's move set within a game or within the battle, you have to learn a second boss and be able to jump back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
But visually, the game is stunning. I was a little concerned that they were going to kind of go the route of Mighty Number 9 and go like really cartoony and chibi style, but
yeah,
it has a cell shaded look to it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It kind of popped out the TV. Like I'm not playing it on a particularly good TV, but it looks really like rich. Like the colors are really bold, and it just feels very premium. And it doesn't feel cheap. Like Mighty Number 9 has that kind of cheap, cartoony look. And whereas Mega Man 11, yeah, totally. And
well, when you kill the enemies too, there's that awesome explosion, and the audio in it is really good. But the game itself just flows and plays really well.
Yeah, it's neat.
It's a genuine Mega Man game. It doesn't feel like a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad it's gone well. I'm glad you like it.
I was really concerned, thinking like I really don't want to get my hopes up because Mega Man's kind of taken a shit recently, and
yeah,
I think provided the rest of the game is as solid and as engaging as this one level. I mean, we only got one level of it, but I'm really excited for it.
Nice. When is it actually being released?
October 2nd. So I'm thinking that we do our show on the 7th with a Mega Man game.
Nice.
But Mike, will you be here for that?
He might be. He might not be. We'll soon find out. But
I think he stepped out for a second.
yeah. Which, apart from Mega Man X, what other Mega Man games have we done on the show?
I think that's it.
Really?
I think that's honestly it. We may have dabbled in Mega Man 2 for a little bit, but
Mega Man 2 is the only old Mega Man game I've played, like the ones from the NES era.
when we had 8-Bit Baby on,
Yeah.
we talked about Mega Man 2, but I don't think we formally actually played it for the show.
Right, okay. I like Mega Man 2. The music is awesome.
Yeah. 2 is
favorite.
You know, it's kind of like the Final Fantasy 7. You know, everybody's got their start with Mega Man 2.
Yeah. Apparently a lot of huge Mega Man fans like yourself really like 3 and consider that to be the peak of the series. What would you
Yeah.
say to that?
I would agree.
Nice. And then, is it 5 and 6 are on the NES as well? Is it just 5? I can't remember. One of them apparently
X4,
is...
5, and 6.
Okay, I think it's 6 maybe. 6 looks like it shouldn't even run on the NES. Like it's doing so much. It looks so good.
You're not talking the X games, you're talking regular ones. Yeah, it goes all the way up through 6.
Yeah, I think it's 6. I've heard that it's like they were really clever the way they programmed it to get the most out of that system back then. It's really interesting. I read about it recently just because I was down the rabbit hole of Wikipedia reading about Mega Man.
Yeah, that's a dark rabbit hole.
So boys,
What?
something very important came out this week.
Tell me.
Spider-Person for the PS4.
Ooh, Arachnid Man. Do
Oh,
the
boy.
things arachnids can.
Now,
Bug
Boys.
boy,
Boys.
bug boy, crawling around
Now-
on the walls.
Now I know I seemed in a bit of a mardy when we first started this podcast, but now we're getting to talk about Spider-Man for the PS4. Ooh, boy! Ooh. Oh, let me tell you, I'm peeking those audios as we speak.
Let me tell you what, I didn't give two flying shitholes about this game until the second I put it in.
Oh man, this is a hell of a video game. Now to get it out the way, Tom, I know you've not played it yet, and any listeners that are currently playing it or haven't played it yet, I'm going to be very selective with what I mention here. Anything I
Yeah.
mention will not be any kind of spoiler. I might mention a side quest or two or some collectibles or something, but nothing I say will spoil the game in any way, shape, or
We
form.
won't talk about any aspect of the story whatsoever.
Yeah, I assure you of that.
Excellent.
But yes,
Right.
Eric, you put it in, and then what happened?
Huh?
It installed.
You put it in, then what happened? Did you take it back out and put it back in?
And then I put it back
take it back
in.
out and take it back out.
Insert point A into slot B. Repeat as necessary. That is a very literal definition of intercourse.
Intercourse.
Yes. Isn't that what you're talking about?
Spider-Man.
Oh, shit. Sorry, wrong podcast.
Is that the Cheese and Pottery podcast again?
No, that's the Dick and Vagina podcast.
Oh, I know it well. D&V for short.
Yeah, so I actually opened it and put it in. I really thought about when I posted that video. I thought just for a second of extending that video on to me purchasing the game digitally. I'm like, is that joke really worth $60?
So to give some context to that, Eric on the Facebook group uploaded this really ridiculous video of him going, "Oh yeah, it's time to play Spider-Man. Right, here we go," and opened up, got it out of the off his shelf and everything, and then just put it up onto in with his other games. And I called it as soon as you started that video. I knew you were going to do.
Sealed, mind you. See, that video actually brought me some pain because one of the listeners pointed out that my games, he's like, this video is technically you unalphabetizing your shelf. I'm like, oh shit, I put it in the wrong spot. And then I look at the video even closer, and then the W's were out of order, and then I look at it again, and the U's were out of order. I'm like, oh my god, how have I been doing this? So yeah, I actually did open it and play it, and oh boy, what a treat!
I know. I haven't done this in a long time, but yesterday, I mean, I planned to play Spider-Man all day yesterday anyway, but I put in about 9 hours straight yesterday of Spider-Man,
Oh,
and I was not bored for a single second of it.
I haven't done that for years.
Nah, me neither. But I put it aside. Like, I warned Hazel that, this is Spider-Man Day. I'm doing nothing but this. But I expected to get to a certain point and be like, I'm going to take a break for a bit, let it refresh a bit. But no, I didn't want to put it down. I did not want to put it down.
it's just one of those. Very rarely do you get a game that's just genuinely enjoyable to play. You know, a lot of games you get, you're like, okay, this part's kind of like tedious and this and that, but like every aspect of this game is just downright enjoyable.
I'm itching to get it now.
But I mean, the biggest thing with Spider-Man games, since they introduced kind of the open world aspects like they did in Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, it's the traversal, it's the web slinging, that has to feel perfect, and never has it felt this perfect.
Oh yeah, that's the key, especially when you have a game world as big as this.
Yeah,
you have to be able to get around quick.
And I've just opened up fast travel. I do not see why you'd ever want to use fast travel.
I was actually going to ask if that's a function that appears later in the game. Cause I'm like, yeah, fast travel might be kind of cool, but then again, it would also just destroy the entire core mechanic of the game.
Yeah, it uses it. In fact, when it first comes up in the story, it forces you to use it once.
Does it?
And and there's actually. So again, this isn't really a spoiler. There's a point in the game where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to get home. I'll take the subway." So he takes the subway. That's how the fast travel works. He's taking the subway. And there's actually quite funny loading screens in between of him sat on the subway in like the Spider-Man costume and everything.
Oh, nice.
So like they obviously wanted to show that off a little bit. But it just moving around the world, you could literally sit for hours just literally going around the world doing nothing if you wanted to, while going around the city if you wanted to.
So I was playing this with my mom when she came over, and probably the first 20-30 minutes of me showing her the game, we were just swinging around the city looking for different landmarks within the city. And she's like, "Oh, see if we can find Chinatown. Like there's a Brooklyn Bridge, and then come down to Mott Street." And it's a legitimate recreation of New York City.
I was going to ask that. I was going to say, how close is it to feeling like you're actually in New York?
I've been to New York a few times, and it's pretty damn close.
Nice. That's really cool.
My only complaint is, like, once you get down to the street level, there's not much going on all the time. Most of the game happens from above the rooftops.
Yeah, but it's a Spider-Man game. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I was going to ask what the detail was like on ground level. Was there loads of like taxis and people, like pedestrians and stuff?
Yeah.
And they have dialogue and everything as you go, as you're swinging past, you'll hear them going, "Oh, it's Spider-Man," and "Oh, quick, get a photo," and stuff like that. But there are some ground level things. So some of the... Have you played Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, Tom?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like back then there'd be like random crimes or like a kid losing his fucking balloon or some shit like that. That would that would just randomly happen, and you can intervene if you want or just go by. There's stuff similar to that. So there's drug deals, there's muggings, there's car crashes where you have to save the people from the wreckage and all things like that. So there's stuff like that going on. In terms of the completion, each district of the city, you can check off how many of each one you've done and things like that as well. But this leads me to how I've been playing this. Now, I am progressing through the story, but I'm progressing through the story very slowly, because going back to how fantastic the traversal is and how much fun it is just to go around the city, every time a new either side quest or new collectible, because there are different collectibles, so this isn't really a spoiler because it's from the very beginning. There's these backpacks for you to collect, 55 of them, and as soon as I was able to go and collect all those, I went and got them all. then other collectibles come along later on, and every single time a new collectible within the story or a new bit of side quest where you have to go to a certain point to activate that bit of side quest to go and do it, I've fucked off the story and just gone and done them before I've done anything else.
I've done the exact same thing. I just rounded out last night all the backpacks, all the landmarks, and working towards the research centers.
Yeah. And the landmarks is so much fun as well, Tom. Like that's another one that's opened up pretty much straight away. Obviously it's Peter Parker. He has his camera. You have to go around and actually take photos of real landmarks. Well, there's some fictional ones as well from the Marvel Universe, but a lot of them are real landmarks, like Madison Square Garden and the Manhattan Bridge and the Empire State Building and stuff like that. But you have to just get photos of them.
Nice.
And you can basically, once you activate your camera, you can literally swing past them and then activate your camera. It goes into like a first person view, gives you bullet time, and then you can like take the photo, and it feels so cool just swinging past and then snapping the shot. And
I would always focus on trying to get like a really good shot, because it'll let you take a really shitty shot. If it's just like the corner of the building in the bottom, it'll still technically count. But if it wouldn't be in perfect composition or focus, I'd find a way to swing back through and get higher up in the city so I could get a nice angled shot.
That's so cool. The last time I did that kind of thing where I was kind of ignoring story to do all the other stuff first was probably Final Fantasy 15. I did a lot of side stuff on that one, I remember. But yeah,
I mean, the great thing about this, all of the things that you do, so the landmarks, the backpacks, the crimes, as Eric said, there's the research centers you do as well. You get tokens for them. So each time you do them, you get a lot of tokens, and it's how you upgrade your gadgets, your webbing, and then there's also all the suits you can unlock as well. So all of the suits all have a special ability, but the great thing is, like, your special ability that you get with each suit, you don't have to wear that suit to have it. Once you've unlocked the suit, you have the special ability to put on whichever suit you want.
Oh, I didn't realize
which
that.
is really cool.
Okay.
I thought you had to have that specific suit on.
No, it's the second option down on the suit menu.
Got it.
Nice.
So I won't spoil which ones are in there, but there are some great ones on there. There's one that I've been specifically using since I got it. But I got the pre-order bonus as well, which the pre-order bonus was the really cool Iron Spider suit from Infinity War. And that thing looks good. It looks perfect.
Nice.
So good.
Oh, that sounds like they've done a good job.
It is, but the thing is, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not really much of a comic book reader, but Spider-Man, it comes from my love of the Fox cartoon series from the early 90s. I'm big into Spider-Man. I really am. Like, I know bits and bobs from the comics, but I wouldn't say I've ever properly read them and anything like that. And one of the things I've always loved about Spider-Man was his relationship between being Peter Parker and being Spider-Man, how being Spider-Man always gets in the way of his personal life and his relationships with his loved ones and his work and everything like that, and how that is always hampered from being Spider-Man. He always has this internal struggle. Can I carry on doing this? No, it's my responsibility to, and all that. Yeah. And they've absolutely nailed it in this. So, like,
even just little off comments, or like Dr. Octavius to be like, hey, this habit of you being late starting to become a habit, and he's like, how did I lose track of time and all of that? So he commentates that, and he's self-aware of that issue.
Yeah, there's a bit where you're again, don't worry, this is not a spoiler. I keep saying that, I know, but there's a bit where you're web slinging towards like your next part of the story, and he's thinking about how to word a text to Mary Jane, and he's as he's going along, he's there like, well, don't put this, don't put this, don't put this. Nice. And it's completely, as you're just doing everything, all these things happen. You'll randomly get phone calls from like Aunt May, and she's like, they'll be like shooting in the background. And she's like, what's all that noise? Like, oh, I'm watching a film.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Superhero movie.
Just, and his quips as well. Like they've got his quips down perfectly. Like one of the first missions you do, he's chatting to this police officer on who you deal with from the very beginning. He does this whole like silly spider cop.
I love Spider Cop,
and the whole thing is just ridiculous. But you're shooting up bad guys, and he's there like chatting to her on the radio, doing this stupid thing, and it's so good. It's so good. It's one of those games where like when I'm not playing it, all I'm thinking about is playing it.
Nice, that's really cool.
And for those of you that are wondering about Puddlegate, no. Do you know about Puddlegate?
No.
What's that?
Right, so. There's been this thing over the past week or so online since like just before it came out. So a very early screenshot of Spider-Man on one of the construction sites. There was all this water on the ground, these puddles. So when some more screenshots came out in the past, I think it was in the past fortnight, the size of the puddles had been reduced, and everyone was going, idiots on the internet were going, they've obviously downgraded the graphics because they've made the puddles smaller.
Oh, God.
So, like, Insomniac had to release an actual statement saying, no, we basically did it for aesthetic reasons. There's no fucking downgrade whatsoever.
If you compare the original 2016 trailer versus what they finally released, it's so damn close. I mean, they nailed it.
I would argue it looks better, to be honest.
Well, they toned down the sheen that they have on Spider-Man's suit so he doesn't look so flamboyant.
Yeah. But the people who properly went into depth of it, they're the ones I'm calling the idiots. You know, they made so many people online believe that there'd been a graphical downgrade, and people were saying, I might not buy it then because of that.
Who cares?
It's
I know.
We've proved time and time and time and time again that graphics don't make a good game.
Exactly.
You know, look at
Gameplay
Celeste.
is
Yeah,
king.
it looked good, but it wasn't Spider-Man quality, and it was still a phenomenal game in that same pantheon of phenomenal games.
yeah. Well, you know my feelings on Celeste. Fucking love that game.
Yeah.
So much. So much. But yeah, anyone on the fence about Spider-Man on the PS4, just get it.
I was super
Honestly,
on the fence about it, and I finally just kind of buckled to peer pressure because, you know, I figured you guys would be talking about it on the show. I honestly thought you were getting it, Tom, and then I didn't want to be the only one that didn't have it to talk about it, but it's all I've played. It took every ounce of effort for me to sit down and finish Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1, knowing that I could be playing the better Spider-Man game.
I think that's probably why I found it extra easy to finish Spider-Man on the PS1 when I didn't have this glossy, premium, brand new, shiny, Insomniac developed Spider-Man to play.
I was really concerned that the combat was going to be tedious. That's the main reason I didn't like the Arkham games. I know I make a lot of stupid jokes about it. Like, I genuinely don't enjoy the Arkham games because of the combat. I know that
amazes me. I love that combat system.
I didn't. It just it didn't.
What is it that you don't like? I know you make the jokes before, usual jokes of it's always just pressing square. Obviously, it's not as bad as that. But
It's just
what is it that you don't like?
maybe I don't like Batman's combat style, or I didn't like it just was boring and it felt repetitive and tedious, and it didn't feel like there was much beyond, okay, I'm just going to punch this guy and I'm going to come over here and punch that guy and I'm going to do a cartwheel over this guy. What's happening in Spider-Man is so fluid. It's this ballet of combat where you're interacting with the environment around you, and you can swing up to the ceilings and web people up and then drop down and do a kick off the wall and smash people and web people together. And there's just so much more going on than what happened in a Batman game.
You see, I thought it was just going to be essentially the Arkham system, but and in some degrees it is. They've taken the Arkham system and completely refined it and completely personalized it for the character as well. I mean, there's some parts of Batman's combat in Arkham, like, for example, you know, if the guy is quite far away from you, you hit square, Batman will suddenly whiz across the room, or he'll like cartwheel across the room. And like in those games, Batman is huge. He's fucking jacked.
Yeah.
And most of the combat, you feel that weight. You feel the weight's there, but then every now and again, there's just one little combat move where he's suddenly like agile as Spider-Man. But obviously, Spider-Man has that agility naturally anyway, so nothing feels out of place. And the system itself, they reward you for keeping the guys up in the air. So when you're fighting, you can do this move where you hold down square and you'll knock the guy up into the air, and then you can carry on fighting him in the air, punch him in the air, and do different kicks and things like that. But obviously, other people are still trying to shoot you. But you can then yank them up into the air and things like that, and you get more focus if any combat you do in the air, whether that's webbing up a manhole cover to take a guy out on the ground whilst you're in the air, or yanking another guy up, or throwing the guy you've got in the air down onto the other guys. You get rewarded for that with more focus, and there's all the gadgets. I haven't even unlocked all the gadgets yet, but there's different versions of webbing you can use and things like that as well.
Well, the other part too is you can utilize the environment around you. If there's an air conditioning unit on the wall, you can web onto that and then use it as a weapon, or manhole covers, like you said, or boxes and scaffolding you can pull down on people. So it's just super fluid. You're never just standing in one place punching people.
I struggled at first. Going in, like I said, I thought it was going to be like Arkham. And in Arkham, you press triangle to counter. Now, Spider-Man has a similar thing. His spider sense goes off above his head. You counter at the right time. You counter the move. If you leave it a little bit longer and the counter symbol turns a different color, you can then you'll counter and then also fire web towards him and stuff like that. It's circle on Spider-Man. So I died on the first fight because my muscle memory for pressing triangle to counter from Batman is so strong, so strong. I've only just started getting used to it.
Yeah, it's definitely an engaging combat system that I haven't gotten bored with yet. It's super difficult. I have struggled. I have died a number of times, but man, I don't want to spoil anything, but those boss battles are so much fun.
I've only done... There's the one at the very beginning of the game, and then I've done one more. I've only done one boss battle so far, which is the one in the... I won't say who it is. It's the one in the bank.
Yeah. That's the one I just finished.
Yeah, that's the only one I've done.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was cool. That was so fucking cool.
Tom, I honestly think you should just bite the bullet and go get this.
Well, what's interesting is, I think it was last night you messaged me to say that if I was on the fence about getting it because of use of HDR. Yeah, that maybe there was not much of a difference to warrant that, and that I wouldn't really notice. Would you agree with that, Mike?
I've not seen it without the HDR on, so I can't comment. All I can say is 4K HDR is beautiful.
And I think that's more just the 4K, because last night Christy and I were comparing shots. So I would do a screenshot on the PlayStation with HDR, I'd turn it off, take another one, and then move to a different area. And then we did night shots and we did day shots and just different angles with different stuff, and almost indiscernible. In fact, in some of the pictures, to be quite honest, the non-HDR looked better.
Strange. So, I might tinker with it later. I might just switch the HDR on and off while I'm stood still.
The 4K aspect of it, yeah, I guess I could understand wanting to wait for that. I haven't tried it non-4K, but man, okay. I don't know if it'd be a game that I would say I'm just going to wait till I get a better TV to play this, because maybe it's just me, but if I don't get a game right away, I generally don't end up getting it, because by the time I'm ready to get it, there's something else.
That's true. It's like trying to keep up with be part of the conversation, isn't it?
Because you haven't played the new God of War yet, have you?
No, but I will. I absolutely will, because
that one I would say is probably more worthy of waiting for the 4K HDR.
Okay.
Oh, Tom, play both those games back to back. That will be a few amazing weeks of gaming.
Yeah. Just storing up all these absolute blockbusters.
Belters.
Yeah.
It's funny, Eric, you mentioned before about taking pictures at night and taking pictures in the day. But something I'm a little disappointed with. There's no day-night cycle. The city is only nighttime if you end up in a story mission where it's nighttime, and then it stays nighttime until you get to the story mission where it's next daytime. I think if they'd had a night cycle, they could have played with that a little bit, because obviously there's the completion things in the menu of stop this many muggings in this district, stop this many, save this many people from car wrecks in this district, solve this many kidnappings, etc. If there'd been a day-night cycle, it could have made it a bit more interesting. So, more people get mugged at night. More. I was going to say,
or kidnappings happen, and car chases during the day, and
it feels like it could have been a gameplay mechanic they could have played with quite a bit. It's very strange that they didn't bother.
The other thing, this is a really minor detail, but the other thing that I kind of like that they did was I tried to go across the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm like, well, let's just see what happens, because I can't imagine they're going to let you go all the way across. And a lot of games that have big open worlds like this with bridges will have some stupid thing like, oh, the bridge is down. Like, nope, you're just leaving the gameplay area. Like, they were just upfront and honest. Like, nope, you can't go over there.
Yeah, I haven't tried that. I'm not like you. I don't try to break things constantly.
I'm always trying to break it. I will say, though, that anybody who does pick this up, just spend like the first 2 hours just swinging around the city and getting the feel for it. It does take a little bit of getting used to because R2 allows you to swing, and then you can, as you're swinging up, you can press X to jump off of that and increase your height and your speed. If you hold X, he'll shoot out webs and like pull himself forward to gain more speed. It's just getting used to those mechanics. Or if you use L2 and R2, he'll pull himself towards a perching location. And as you're flying towards it, if you hit X right when he hits it, he'll launch off of it for even more speed. So you can do this really cool ballet across the rooftops and get places really quick.
You can do this thing as well where you press triangle and circle together and then press directions in between your swings, and you can do like little like flips and things like that.
I just
gives you really
that.
arbitrary levels of XP. So like
Spider flip.
You'll get like you'll do like 3 flips, but each flip will give you like 2 XP.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, I have actually leveled up from that before because I've gone straight across the city. Every single flip, like every single swing I've done like some sort of flip in between. I've been close to leveling up and have actually leveled up from it. So
He's like, every little helps.
yeah, exactly. The interesting thing they've done as well. I mean, I've mentioned already the relationships between Peter and his loved ones and trying to combat his life between being Spider-Man and being Peter Parker. There are actually sections where you play as Peter Parker. So at the very beginning, you actually start off with Peter Parker in this lab, and there's like these weird like lab puzzles and things like that you have to solve, which was really interesting. Like I thought it was a very strange thing to put in, but also really fits with the story.
I didn't like.
You don't like it?
Maybe it's just because it reminded me of the BioShock flow puzzles.
Oh.
But these ones
See, I really enjoyed those. I wasn't on the BioShock show, but I actually really enjoyed those flow puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. These ones are okay. I understand where they come in because it's really neat. You unlock... you have to do these puzzles to unlock new polymers or compounds that allow you to then upgrade different aspects of your suit. So... gameplay-wise, it fits because he's a research scientist and he's utilizing his job as a research scientist to improve his utilities as Spider-Man. So it makes sense, whereas the BioShock one's like, I'm just going to hack this and stop this water flow.
The circus of value! But yeah, Tom, get it! Get it!
It gets the get it stamp of approval.
Oh, if I could double get it, it would.
This will be one of those games, honestly, that I think I'll 100%.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
Me too.
God,
I just don't. I don't usually get off on collectibles, but like you last night, Mike, I was getting ready to go to bed. I'm like, I've already got 38 of the 55 backpacks. Better do this. But then I routed my way through the city, so I started all the way at the top, and I would just kind of go in like horizontal lines and then drop down like Space Invaders style, where I would get a backpack and then go to the next nearest landmark and then do a backpack and landmark, backpack, landmark, drop down, just kind of like zigzagged my way down the city until I had all of them. And it only took about an hour and a half, but still, it was so much fun. Because along the way, you'll see a car chase happen. You're like, I'm going to go do this. And it's really neat. It reminds me of the Radiant questing on Skyrim, where like something just happens. And you're like, great, I'm here. Let's do this.
And you're never pissed off. Like, a lot of these games, something like that happens, and you think, oh, I better go and do it. No, on this, you're like, nah, I'm going to go and do that. I don't care. I can pick this up.
Oh, dude, the car chase scenes are so cool. Where you're swinging through the city, and you got to catch up to the car, and then you drop down onto the top of it, and you have to web these people and pull them out of the car. It's so cool.
That sounds really cool.
And the
then
stealth...
there's a bit of a QTE after you pulled the guys out of it. There's a QTE where you have to like stop the car as well.
Something that you'll really enjoy, Tom, is the stealth aspect of this game is fantastic.
Oh, it's so good.
Ooh.
So there's an option where you have these construction sites where you can go in and just beat the shit out of everybody, and it's super difficult. You will get overpowered and die because it's like it's waves of enemies, and it tells you.
Did you
hey,
go and
you're
do them
on-
all as soon as you got access to them? Did you go and do them all? 'Cause
No,
I
I've
did.
only done one.
No, I went and did them all. And
It
I made
tells
sure,
you, hey,
so
you're on wave 4, and then wave 5, and then and they get progressively more difficult. But you can go into these construction sites stealth mode and like web up the first wave, and then some of the story missions give you the option to be super stealthy about it. And you're hanging up in the rafters, and you can use your spidey sense to tell if an enemy is okay to stealth attack or if it would alert somebody. And if there's two people standing next to each other, you can shoot a web onto like a crate somewhere, and it'll lure that person's attention over there, so they'll walk over there away from the other person. Then you can be above them, and you can web them up and then hang them from the rafters.
The fantastic thing about this is, as well, if you think back to Arkham, where when you went into a stealth predator mode, they used to call it, wasn't it? Like the predator sequences. When you went into those, it almost felt like you were controlling a different character. Like, all the stealth things came up, and you'd move in different ways and things like that. The stealth sections and the fighting sections of this game, of Spider-Man, you are just controlling exactly the same way. Because most of the stealth sections, as Eric said, that you're in, you probably could fight your way out of it, but you're better doing stealth. But everything is exactly the same in terms of your character and what you can use and the way you'd use it, everything. It transitions perfectly.
And it just probably feels more gratifying to like stealth the whole thing and not attract those waves of enemies.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, you've twisted my arm, guys.
You just got to get it. Like, it's one of those few games that like you said, you kind of want to be a part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's
That's
so
just
good.
Yeah.
I don't honestly know if this is a game that would be worth waiting to get on a better TV. It honestly might be something worth going back and playing again on a better TV.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can see me replaying this. I really can.
Wow. It's one of those games that I'll probably just pop in and be like, yeah, I've got 25, 30 minutes to kill. Let's hop in and just swing around the city for a little bit.
Nice.
You might have to spend a bit of time on those research stations, Eric. Have you done any of them yet?
I did the very first one with the smog.
Yeah. So each one that you go to, you then have to do like a mission based with it.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
It's
It's cool.
I have
some
yet
good
to
ideas
come across any. I'm 30% of the way through, and I've yet to come across anything that I didn't enjoy. And generally, with these big open world games like this, you're like, this kind of sucks. I mean, the construction site things are a slog, but they're really cool aspects of the combat, and they really help you polish your combat skills.
Oh yeah, I struggled with the first couple, but I always make sure I was doing the objectives as well, because I think you get more of the base. Is it base tokens you get from those?
Yeah.
I think you get more base tokens if you get more objectives. I could be wrong on that. It could just be better XP.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah, I'm not sure, because if so, that means I need to go back to if you do get more tokens, I need to go back to the first one, because that's the only one I didn't get all the objectives. So there's a couple of extra combat objectives, Tom, when you do the construction site. So it'd be like throw 10 items or do a 50 plus combo or stuff like that. You get extra stuff for it.
Nice.
So I was on the fence about getting this or Dragon Quest XI, and I tell you, I'm super happy I got this, because let's face it, Dragon Quest XI is probably 80 hours long. I don't have that kind of time.
Oh yeah.
And not to sidetrack from Spider-Man, but since we're on it, I heard that Dragon Quest XI, phenomenal game, but if you're not already a raging Dragon Quest fan, it's not really going to do anything to sway you towards the series.
Well, I heard it both ways. I heard that, but I also heard it's quite a good entry point.
Yeah, it's not anything revolutionary for the series. I guess from people that I've read about it say like, yeah, it's essentially more Dragon Quest VIII, which was for many the pinnacle of the series.
Oh right, okay.
And Dragon Quest VIII is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite RPGs.
I've never played a Dragon Quest game.
So
No,
when
me
you
neither.
you don't have a 3DS, but when you get a 3DS, you can play the 3DS remake of it.
Maybe I will. Maybe. Have any of you guys tried out that Monster Hunter demo that's been on the Switch yet?
Is it Monster Hunter World?
No, Monster Hunter Generations X, XX, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I actually had to. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I saw it last night because I was looking for something to play, and but I didn't get around to it. Have you managed to jump in yet? You had a go on it?
No, that's why I was asking. Because it's more akin to the old Monster Hunter games, rather like because World obviously changed it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never played a Monster Hunter game, so
They were really
just wondered
popular on the
what you guys
PSP in Japan, anyway.
and the 3DS as well, weren't they?
Yeah. So, but no, I didn't play the PS4 one. Looked pretty good as well, but I didn't put any time into it. Did you, Eric? Try that one. I think Dan did.
Monster Hunter World.
Yeah.
I had it and I got rid of it. I just couldn't.
Oh,
It's not my game. It's just not my game. It's too much menu management. I had Monster Hunter World 3 for the DS, and then I had it for the Wii U 3 Ultimate, so you could you could transfer your gameplay and take it on the go, and it wasn't my jam. I'm just not a Monster Hunter fan. I get it. The series is cool. All the people that I know that play it absolutely love it, and I understand why. It's essentially just continuous boss battles, and I need something with a bit more variety.
You like Shadow of the Colossus, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. To me, it's not the tip of the nipples.
It's
gotta
just the
be
areola.
Yeah, it's like just the base of the boob. I mean, it's good, but there's more. There's stuff above it that's better.
got
Good
it.
analogy.
Yeah, see, I just made that up on the fly. I like that. The base
You
of the
couldn't
boob,
tell.
the base of the boob and the tip of the nipples. Anything before we get on to the actual Spider-Man game we played for the show? Is there anything else that came out that we needed to talk about? I had some notes.
Oh, you took notes? Oh, I'm Daniel Curtis. Oh, I hate it when you take notes. Oh, preparation.
I played that game so many times I remember it.
Beep, beep.
Coming on through, babe. Guys, we're only like 4 months away from you guys all being here.
Yeah, those Royal Rumble tickets haven't gone on sale yet. I keep looking.
I'm going to see if I can utilize some of my
Keep
connections in the valley and see if we can get tickets.
Do it.
I'm kind of hoping that I have a connection somewhere. They're like, oh yeah, we have a sweet box for that. Here you go.
If we don't get tickets to Royal Rumble, Eric, I'm going to be sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you should care about my welfare.
I do, but
You're going to be responsible for me for like a week.
in a week, I get to take a private helicopter tour over the Grand Canyon.
Ooh, the big old.
Wow.
The big old
Big
pit.
hole in the ground.
And quite honestly, I'm kind of terrified of it because helicopters crash in the Grand Canyon.
Yes, good
Great.
job.
So before I leave for that, I will make sure to pass all the relevant passwords and information over to you guys to keep the show going in the event of my untimely demise.
Maybe put Kingdom Hearts 2 in your will for Dan to open.
No, that's coming with me. So if I go down, it just is gone. That's
Just
morbid.
there in
I
your
shouldn't talk
casket
about
with you.
things like that. That's really morbid.
We got a laugh out of it.
Yeah, see? Now,
Death.
what's going to happen if I actually go down? You're going to be like, oh, Jesus, that wasn't very
There'll just
funny.
be like a few moments of sheer horror and terror, but then it'll be over.
Yeah. I meant for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Needs to be more explicit.
Yeah.
I thought you wanted me to describe what a helicopter crashed.
Yeah.
Oh, but what? It couldn't be more American, right? What a place to go, the Grand Canyon.
It's just like a big open grave. It's an American-sized grave. There's a book called Death at the Grand Canyon, and it's just a huge book of stupid ways people have died at the Grand Canyon.
Was one of them straddling?
Well, one of them was this dad was following his daughter back to the car, and he was always this type of guy that would play goofy little jokes on his daughter and like hide from her. Well, they were walking along the edge where there's a little retaining wall, and he was standing up on top of it, and there's like a little 3-foot gap between the retaining wall and a sheer drop. And he decided he was going to hop down off that wall and hide behind it, and his daughter turned around and didn't see him. And it's like, Dad's just being dumb and playing a joke. Got back to the car, and Mom's like, hey, where's your dad? And she's like, he was hiding off that, he was trying to hide on me again. He'll be here in a second. And like 2 hours go by and he didn't show up, and discovered that when he jumped off that retaining wall, he jumped too far and just jumped off into the Grand Canyon. It's like, Jesus. Just stupid shit like that. People are so dumb. God. But yes.
So bad.
We should move on to Spider-Man. The other one.
More of our friendly neighborhood.
Oh no.
What?
So Zach has just posted this in the Facebook group. Don't worry, no spoilers ahead. But one of Spider-Man PS4's most heartfelt Easter eggs has turned sour. So basically, back in May, a Twitter user called TopNotch1210 tweeted out to Insomniac Games in the hopes that the studio would include a small Easter egg for him inside Marvel's Spider-Man that would allow him to propose to his girlfriend. After some back and forth, it was agreed that the words "Madison, will you marry me?" would appear on the advertising board of a cinema. If you do a bit of exploring in the game's recreation in New York City, you can find it. Apparently, it hasn't gone to plan, because apparently she left him for his brother after 3 to 4 weeks before the game's release.
Shit.
Oh shit.
Oh
Good
my God.
Lord.
That's awful.
Oh,
Did you guys see that they put Game Over Greggy in here too?
yeah, shirtless
Yeah.
Spider-Man. He's been campaigning it for fucking months. I'm a big fan of Kind of Funny, and I watch it a lot. He's been campaigning to try to get it as a playable character for months. It really has.
Shirtless Spider-Man.
Fair play to him, man. Fair play.
Yeah.
That guy works hard.
That's funny.
He does.
But yes,
Anyway.
speaking of Spider-Man, we went back to Spider-Man's roots.
Roots.
Not as true roots with like the MSX game, but like the first 3D one.
Yeah.
It sure was.
Mm-hmm. And it
Developed
was
by Neversoft.
early 3D, which is weird. I expected a skateboard to pop out at any time.
It does use the Tony Hawk's engine.
You can tell.
Yeah.
So original Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1, released in August of 2000, as Tom said. Developed by Neversoft, published by Activision.
Although the N64 version and the Game Boy Color version were done by Edge of Reality and Vicarious Visions. Not respectively, the other way around to what I said.
Well, didn't Vicarious Visions do Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation? Or yeah, they did Spider-Man 2. Did they do the PS2 one or no? I'm trying to think of what else Vicarious Visions did.
I know they did the most recent Crash remake, because at the beginning it goes, "Rated by Vicarious Visions! A smashing blast from the past!"
That's a good
And that's
impression.
all it does.
Boy, their list of games is quite interesting.
What, Vicarious Visions?
Yeah. What did
They have
Edge?
done some
Boy,
Spider-Man
Edge of
games.
Reality didn't do a whole hell of a lot.
Edge of Reality. Let's see. Oh, they did Spider-Man 3, that far down the list. Spider-Man 2 further up.
They
I
did the
never
original
played.
Mass Effect.
Oh, Vicarious Visions did Spider-Man, the sequel to the game we played today as well.
Yeah, I never actually played Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro on PS1.
I had the so I was a naughty boy and had a chip PlayStation when I was a kid, and
Sinner.
there was when Spider-Man 2 first came out. It was around the time that 9/11 happened, and the
Yeah.
final boss on that game originally was Top of the Two Towers. And obviously 9/11 happened. They quickly recalled loads of all the copies of it and re-released it with basically the end of the game was just one tower. And my copied version still had the two towers in.
Oh, wow.
because obviously it's copied from.
Well,
the
I think one of the Spider-Man movies was coming out right around that time too, and they had a promotional poster where Spider-Man had webbed up a helicopter between the two towers, and they had to pull all that.
Yeah, it was the first Sam Raimi film, I think.
Yep, with
That would've been
Mr. Tobey Maguire.
That would have been
God,
quite
it
a
was
cool scene.
Shit
What's that, Tom?
Okay.
That would have been quite a cool scene, actually, webbing the helicopter between the two towers.
No, I'm surprised that one of the landmarkings in the new Spider-Man wasn't World Trade Center 1.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't want to touch that. With the
I don't know. It would have been a nice homage.
I guess. I guess.
That is an
The
impressive
building's
building.
not
I've
even
stood-
in there.
I've stood right next to that building. It is fucking tall.
Oh, the new World Trade Center?
Yeah, One World Trade Center.
No.
It's pretty awesome.
Yep. So, who wants to cover the story of the original Spider-Man? Because I don't really have a friggin' clue what happened.
The main thing I remember from Spider-Man is that he's at the start he's been framed, right, by another guy dressed as Spider-Man.
Well, you know, this story annoys me in some ways. Because,
Yeah.
right, it's all over the fucking place, for one. But
Different superheroes show up at random ass times, like, oh, there's Daredevil, there's Punisher, there's Black Cat.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's weird.
But I played this as a kid, and again, from what I said before, you know, I'm a massive fan of Spider-Man. Not really necessarily touched the comics myself, but I know stories, I know bits and bobs. You know, there's probably someone out there who knows a million other things about Spider-Man than I do, who's much more of an expert on it. But like this game, I remember, felt like the first proper comic book feel game when it came out, in terms of the zaniness and everything like that, and the characters popping up here and there. But playing it back as an adult, it sometimes feels like things are put in for the sake of it. Like you mentioned Daredevil,
Yeah.
you know, he literally comes in for like a 30-second scene to question Spider-Man as to why he stole something. And then he goes, well, obviously one of Daredevil's powers, he can tell when people are lying. And then Spider-Man's like, no, it wasn't me. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, good, I can tell because that's my superpower. Bye. And that's it.
They just wanted to get some fan service in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, towards the end, Captain America's in it, but all he does is fly a jet.
Hey, he plays Go Fish
And
at
play-
the end.
and play
It's
cards.
true, yeah. But the thing with the story of this that irritates me is random things happen just for the sake of trying to shoehorn villains in. So the whole framing Spider-Man thing at the very beginning. So the very beginning starts off with a supposedly reformed Dr. Otto Octavius, who is obviously Dr. Octopus, and he's showing off this new equipment at this big press panel thing, and Spider-Man comes on stage and steals the equipment. And Peter Parker's in the crowd taking photos. Eddie Brock, who is also Venom, is there, and he bumps into Peter, and then basically the fake Spider-Man destroys his camera, obviously ruins all his footage of the show, and randomly the symbiote that is Venom that attaches to Eddie Brock to create Venom randomly just takes over him again.
My camera!
Which makes no fucking sense whatsoever, because obviously Venom is created from Eddie Brock and the symbiote from outer space connecting between the two of them. So if he's trying to stop it happening, why the hell was the fucking symbiote with him anyway? And the whole framing thing is basically to get Venom into it. Because you eventually get to a point later on where Spider-Man's like, no, it wasn't me, and Venom's like, all right, and then Venom kind of helps you.
Yeah, Venom's like, well, okay, well, let's just put our differences aside and work together.
Yeah. After making you crawl through the sewers for hours and
Well, and then this whole thing pops up halfway through about this mysterious fog that's being dumped into the city. It just comes
Well, that's
out of
right
nowhere.
at the beginning, isn't it?
Is it?
I'm sure, yeah, it happens right at the beginning.
yeah.
Because you're up on the buildings and Black Cat arrives. Boy, has she looked better.
Good lord.
I think everybody's had better days.
Yeah.
The Punisher's
looks like
face
an
was particularly bad.
She looks like an old man.
It's really weird.
Where the
If
fuck
you
is
thought
her
Lara
mask?
Croft's boobs were pointy, take a look at Black Cat.
Oh dear. So yeah, she turns up and basically tells you that there's an issue at the bank. So the first level or so is you getting to the bank and stopping these guys at the bank and saving some hostages and stuff, just to kind of get used to it. And this is where you kind of get used to the controls of the game. Now, I believe this game was pre-mandatory analog sticks.
I think so.
Yeah, so it's very D-pad centric, even though it's a 3D game. And that's a little weird. I mean, I played it on my Vita, and the analog, I could use the analog stick, but I did stick to the D-pad quite a bit. What did you guys use?
Because on the Vita, you can map buttons, so it'll map to the joystick. I exclusively use the D-pad.
I used the D-pad as well, because it was just way more accurate when shooting the web. On the back of the case, it does say analog compatible for the PS1, but yeah, you could still just use, like you say, it wasn't mandatory to use it.
But the funny thing about this one is, this was obviously pre-open world Spider-Man. I think the first open world one was Spider-Man 2 that was related to the Sam Raimi movie on PS2.
Yeah,
and at the beginning of this, it almost gives you the idea that you could swing around the city, but this is actually a very, very linear game. And the actual web swinging itself, it essentially is like a longer jump, because you can only web swing when you have something to web swing to. You can't just web swing randomly. So you have to have a destination. There has to be a wall or a building in front of you.
Well,
for you to
when
be
you're
able
on
to
top
web
of the buildings, though, it just kind of attaches to random points in the sky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that as well. But like, if there is no building in front of you and you try and press the web swing button, say if you just jump towards nothing,
it'll
and try and
kill
press the
you.
web swing button, he will not web swing.
Yeah.
Oh fucking hell! You just sent that picture of the black cat.
Her face is off center.
It's so bad.
These character models are so bad.
Oh god. So yeah, you go off and you end up rescuing the bank and everything, and you start learning the ins and outs of Spidey's repertoire of weapons. So there's if you hit triangle, he'll just fire some web out, which can tangle guys up. But if you press different directions at the same time, he has 4 other attacks as well. So up and triangle is like a massive ball of web. So it's a bit like a shotgun blast in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it doesn't spread outwards. Right was for the
dome.
Yeah, so he turns into like this little dome where he's invincible for a moment, then he blasts that out. Left gives you like these web gloves which make your punches stronger for a limited time, and down yanks the enemies towards you. And then other than that, you have punches and you have kicks, but there's no real combos as such. It does say to kind of mix them up a bit, but you don't really get anything different out of it.
So I admittedly
just punching.
Didn't realize that pressing the different directions with triangle did anything until you'd pointed out. I'm like, oh, well, I just randomly shot a web. I just thought it was something that happened. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I got a dome that exploded, because I was using the D-pad to control, and I was just randomly pressing triangle instead of circle, because at the beginning I didn't really...
Didn't do the tutorial.
No, I skipped it. I didn't read the instruction manual either.
Oh yeah, there is a tutorial mode, isn't there? I didn't bother playing it, 'cause I just remembered from playing this when I was younger.
I like kid mode.
Kid mode.
Kid mode. Kid mode. Kid mode. Kid mode. Yeah, Dan mode. Super Dan mode. No, the combat itself in this game is actually pretty fluid. I wasn't displeased with it for what it was. The lack of combos notwithstanding. I found myself doing a lot of the time where you jump up and then square, and he dives back down onto things, and then you jump away from it, because you can pretty easily get interrupted in the middle of your fight. So especially towards the end when you're fighting the symbiotes, you can only get 4 or 5 punches in before they're like, all right, screw this, and they hit you. So you got to be a little bit more tactical about that. I do like how you can climb on anything, though. They did it.
Yeah, I was literally about to bring that up.
That was one of the cooler aspects of it. I was
remember
afraid that
getting this when I was younger, and the first time you get to the bank, which is the first time you're inside, and just that moment where you realise that you can do all that was phenomenal. Because my experience of Spider-Man games before this was, I mean, they were all 2D anyway, but the Spider-Man versus Kingpin game on the Mega Drive.
Yeah. I remember
and
that one.
You could climb on ceilings, you could climb on walls and everything, but obviously it wasn't a 3D space. so nothing felt as impressive as this did.
Yeah, it was really cool. I thought it was awesome because, yeah, like you say, it's pretty linear when you're swinging from building to building. But every now and again, there is like a random building to the side that you can get to, which might have some like web cartridges or the Spidey armor. Did you guys find any?
I didn't find that till
armor?
the end.
Oh, okay.
Or you can get the unlimited web suit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, there's quite a few alternative costumes in this, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think some of them can
And
only
then-
be gotten with cheat codes, though.
So there is a bit of exploring to do. Not too much because you can find those the Amazing Spider-Man comics, the little collectibles.
Yeah.
Golden.
Got it.
Yeah, because the first one of those, because there are quite a few Easter eggs in this game as well. In the first level, the first comic book you can find in this game is actually on the first level, because if you look to your left, you can see the Fantastic Four building.
Oh, I didn't realize
Oh,
that.
And
Sweet.
it's obviously just got the huge four at the top, and you go across there, and that's actually where the first comic book in the game is.
Did you guys also see when you swing into the office at the start, or it might be like, I think it's a third level or something, and Venom is in there, and the TV is playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's the fight with Scorpion.
That's it, yeah, with Scorpion.
Yeah. But you mentioned the fog before, Eric. The fog was actually put in place because obviously the PlayStation wasn't powerful enough to do the streets, so they used it as a bit like Silent Hill. They used it as a storyline perspective.
Oh, nice.
But it still just made no sense because at the beginning, obviously, the fake Spider-Man steals the thing. You then see Dr. Roy Octavius and another figure in like a lab, and that's when they open up the huge chimneys, which then put the fog over the city. But then that's not touched again until the very end, after you've randomly fought all these other villains that randomly turn up.
But that's kind of the crux of Spider-Man, though, and they address that a little bit in the new one, and especially when you're listening to J. Jonah Jameson and his show talking about how Spider-Man is actually a detriment to the city because he draws out more villains than he handles.
Oh, can we switch back to the new one a second?
Yeah.
Speaking of those in the new game, J. Jonah Jameson's podcast. So when you're doing different side quests later on, like not long after you've done it, you'll get like his show will come on and he'll discuss the things you did in the side quests and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. So cool. But speaking of J. Jonah Jameson, this is where like you get your first almost, because there's a few section levels of this game where it's like a chase. So you'll be up on the rooftops and you have to either chase them. So there's one later on where you chase Venom, and you've got this meter at the top which has Spider-Man's face and has the villain's face, and you have to stay within a certain distance to keep the meter in a certain place between them, otherwise you die. And the first one of these is where after the bank you randomly find out that Scorpion's trying to attack J. Jonah Jameson, and his one, basically J. Jonah Jameson's face is at the end and Scorpion's is at one end, and you've got to get to the building before his head gets to the end.
Yeah.
And that's when you get your first boss fight. But those levels are weird. I remember the Venom one, because there's one where you're chasing Venom across the city. I remember really struggling with that as a kid as well. But
Yeah.
Well, the
not really
mechanics
much
of this are pretty janky in that you don't get to
Yeah.
fluidly turn while you're swinging. So if you jump off in the wrong direction, or because when you swing, you gradually lose altitude. So if you don't time it right, you're going to hit the lower part of the building and then have to scale your way up to the top. And by that time, he's gotten too far
He's
away.
gone. It's the same where the mission where you're kind of trying to outswing a helicopter firing missiles at you.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
That's pretty early, yeah.
And that took me. It still took me quite a few goes now for that very reason. Where it would just take me too long to scale the building and I just get nailed.
So many of these levels were super short, too.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked that it was nicely broken up into little pieces.
The problem that I had, though, is that it's so much of this game is just easily skippable. You can just run through most of it. So the parts where you're on top of the buildings and just scaling across, I think they were expecting you to stop and fight all these enemies. We're like, nah, I'm just going to keep going. Or where you're in the bank and you just have to make it to a certain area instead of fighting everything. Like towards the end with the symbiotes, I'm just gonna run past all this.
Oh, by the time the symbiotes became the standard enemy, I was like running straight past them because that was the first time I started to struggle. Because I felt like I had to take them all out, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually just going to skip these guys because they are the worst.
Go ahead and just pass it up.
Yeah,
but it's strange though. You said about the length of the levels. There's a few dotted here and there where they were kind of falsely elongated, like they felt long but they weren't. So there's that entire section. Basically, you get to this bit where Venom is up on a TV screen and saying that he's got Mary Jane hostage, and you have to go down to the sewers, and he's using one of the lizard's old layers.
The tunnel crawl.
Yeah, and you do the tunnel crawl, and because it's upside down, you have to crawl. You can't run. And as you're trying to, there's these several different tunnels you have to go through, and you have to find out where he is. And you'll get these Venom voiceovers saying, telling you that you're getting colder or getting hotter, and that can take some time. Or the symbiote levels later on where you have to find the generators.
Yeah, I got stuck in that second one. I didn't realize that there were secret passages you had to go through to get to the other two generators.
Yeah.
So not all of them were short, but this game could have done with an autosave feature. Because you go through several of these short levels back to back, and going in, do you want to save? Yes. Choose your memory card? Yes. Right, choose your slot. This one? Yes. Do you want to change the name? No. Okay, great. Saved. Go back to the game. Fantastic. Another loading screen.
4 minutes later, repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And a block button. I feel like this game could have really, really done with a block button.
Oh, yes.
It's not like they didn't have enough buttons.
Yeah, but if you're doing a quote-unquote combo on one enemy, and like you said before, it's very easy to be interrupted. If another enemy does come up behind you, there is physically no way of stopping it. You are going to get hit.
Which is why I kind of adapted the style of a few punches and then I jump out.
What were you about to say, Eric, before I rudely interrupted?
I don't remember.
Can't have been important then.
Is anything I say important? I really enjoyed the boss battles in this game, with the exception of maybe one or two, but I felt they were varied enough.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is the Scorpion, isn't he? And he's chasing J. Jonah around the office, and you can throw the office desks at him and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I keep forgetting that you could pick up.
I think that's one I struggled with the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, aside from Mysterio at the end.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was quite stressful.
You know, the battle versus Rhino was really cool. It kind of reminded me of one of the 2D Zelda bosses where you had to lure them to run towards a wall, and then he would knock himself silly, and then you'd attack him then.
Yeah.
The thing that annoys me, though, with the Rhino boss, and it isn't this game's fault, because technically this was probably the first one. In fact, it will have been the first one. I love Spider-Man, so I play a lot of Spider-Man games, and every single time Rhino has been in a Spider-Man game, it's the same thing. Let him run into something, wait for him to get jammed, punch him. Let him run into something, he gets jammed, punch him. And it just, after years of having games where that's the dynamic you have, it gets tiresome.
Yeah, I guess I could get that. The second Venom one where you're in that back alley and he disappears?
That's the first one, isn't it? The second one is where he's got Mary Jane on the rope, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, did they give her some boobs.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. That was excessive.
I gotta remind myself what that looks like.
I don't even remember.
Let's take a peek here.
But the Venom fights annoyed me because you couldn't get anywhere near him without him holding you for a moment. It slowed everything down. So he'd do he'd kind of grab you and you'd be wrapped up in kind of symbiote webbing, but he'd just hold you there, but you'd be losing health, but all he's doing is holding you.
Yeah.
And all it did was just inconvenience you for the most part.
Good Lord, Mary Jane Watson looks like a shitty Michael Jackson. Here, look at this. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but holy cow.
That's all right. No, it's fine.
There's some boobs and a Michael Jackson nose.
Oh, boy.
And a square pointed ass. Sorry, we used up all of her polygons on her boobs. She gets 2 for her butt. Goodness. That's excessive. I'm sorry, what were you talking about, Mike?
That's fine. I was about to say they do give you web cartridges in that fight. I mean, quite a few of the boss battles, you have health and web cartridges reappear nearby.
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
But that Venom fight, I think that's the one I struggled with most. I just found
the one really with Mary Jane on a rope?
Yeah. Well, when I say struggled, I didn't die. It took a long time because I just found it tedious. So Mary Jane
I died plenty of times.
I died quite a few times on that one, actually.
Mary Jane's in this hole in the ground attached to a chain, and there's these switches that turn. There's 4 switches around the room that turn the water on, and if the water gets too high, obviously she drowns. So when you're fighting Venom, he randomly has this power to appear and disappear into thin air, which I'm pretty sure, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, pretty sure isn't one of Venom's powers. He will reappear near one of the levers, turn it on. Obviously, you then get a chance to try and hit him before he disappears, but also need to turn the lever off quickly as well. And that attack that I just mentioned, where he holds you for a few moments, he holds you there for a good 5, maybe 10 seconds whilst the water's filling up, is so frustrating. Then you're losing health at the same time. I wasn't a fan. Can I just touch? I really fucking hate this Venom character in this. Like, later on when he kind of comes on your side and he sees Captain America, he's all like, oh, can we get his autograph? And then when he goes, they're on about using the computers in the Daily Bugle for research, he's going, surf the web.
I remember that.
Like,
go away.
My impression of Venom predominantly comes from the early 90s Fox series, right? But he's supposed to, in my opinion, he's supposed to be mean, he's supposed to be menacing, he's supposed to be one of Spider-Man's greatest foes, he knows everything about him, and, he doesn't set off his spider sense and things like that. He knows all his loved ones are, knows his identity, and in this he's like a fucking, like one of Bulk and Skull. I hate it so much.
Spider-Wuss.
Yeah.
Come on, Parker. Yeah, I agree.
Man. I didn't like it.
He's a bit obnoxious and not true to his character, like you say. That's the main thing.
Yeah. I didn't like it.
Didn't like it.
Did you guys find the lizard, though? Little cameo that he has.
No.
So
yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Yep,
he's using the lizard's lair in the sewers, and it's the lizard. It's his experiments that you're fighting when you're down there.
He's the one who tells you where to go.
Yeah, so when if you didn't find this, Tom, when you're going through the tunnels, if you obviously go the wrong direction, you find him now.
I did find it.
He tells you where to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that was an extra.
Yeah. You don't have to find him.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, he gets sassy with you if you keep going back to him for the directions.
Oh yeah, because he gives you like, all right, go down the corridor, take the second left, and keep going.
Take the number 32 trolley.
Go across 2 waterways, take a right, go down 2, turn right, skip the first 2 tunnels, and take a left.
I was like, man, if this was 2018, I'd just have a dot on my map.
Yeah.
and a green line.
And then I could listen to what you said anywhere I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was interesting. Well remembered. I completely forgot about that.
Let's see.
So I haven't touched on this yet, but there's a code you can put in that creates a what if mode on this game. So you play through it, and like some things are subtly changed, and other things aren't. Apparently, it's an homage to some what if comics that Marvel did for a while. And one of the things that, like I said, some of it's cosmetic changes, some of it's other silly changes. And what happens is at the beginning of one of the first levels, a character called the Watcher appears, and he's like, oh, well, we always ask the question, what if? So here we have, here's a different version of events. It'll be quite similar, but not too similar. And little things have changed. So like the Fantastic Four building in the first level I was on about, you can go to that and you can actually talk to the Human Torch. Little things like that helicopter chase level, the Silver Surfer randomly flies across the background, and Ghost Rider drives up a building and things like that. And there's there's this random blimp on that level, for example, that you can go onto, and if you survive all the enemies that are on the blimp, you then skip a big part of that level.
Huh.
But one of the changes is one of the changes, the helicopter guy, you know, the guy who's constantly telling you to stand down and stuff. At the beginning of the helicopter level, he just starts going in the same voice, just over the megaphone. But yeah, one of the changes is those lizard guys that attack you at the beginning of this sewer level. Like, for some reason, one of them is shitting as he comes towards you, just crapping on the ground.
What? Amazing.
Beautiful.
Do not ask me why. Yeah, don't ask me why, but it does. If I find any other funny ones as we go through, I'll mention them. I can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah, but then you fight Venom again, and then you basically just say, "Oh yeah, wasn't me." Turns into Shaggy.
Yeah, you didn't have to convince him that much. Like, oh, okay. No, it wasn't me. Oh, okay. Well, why don't you say so in the first place?
Hey, did you guys have, you know, in the sewer, there's some bits where you have to raise and lower the water levels to get through these tunnels.
Oh, yeah.
How many times did you accidentally fall in the water?
A lot.
A few. Yeah.
So fucking much.
Like, yeah, that was quite annoying. I was glad to get out of the sewers in the end because actually I just kept... I know you said, Mike, you could just touch L1 and that would recenter you, or you could also do some of the manual, get the target up and stuff like that. But I just kind of forgot about that functionality at this point in the game. It wasn't until we had to swing between all those different pipes later on that I actually ended up using that function.
I don't think we brought this up, have we? Yeah, there is zero camera control in this game.
Yeah, and I totally forgot. So it was when you were like, "Oh, L1's your friend," I was like, okay.
I didn't really ever use it.
Really? Oh, my button was my finger was on that button constantly.
Yeah, I just kind of ran around.
You said you struggled with the Mysterio boss, Eric.
So Mysterio you fight him in this circular level where technically it becomes like a 2D style game, where you're just running around in a circle, and he's this really tall enemy in the middle, and the floors are electrified, and he'll grab you and slam you down and kill you. But like you said, there's regenerating health and spider webs and all of that. And it just is this really tedious boss battle that the first time you beat him, you're like, great, done. And then he goes, oh, just kidding. And you got to fight him again, even more difficult.
One of the changes in What If mode is he has a fish inside his big glass dome while you're fighting him.
Wow.
Doesn't he refer to him as Fishbowl, though?
Yeah.
So I kept quick saving halfway through. Like, if I'd get a few good hits on him, I'd quick save and all of that. But not as often as I was trying to get away from Monster Ock at the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have so the very end of this game, we touched on the story a little. You know, you go through and all these different enemies show up for other random reasons, and you basically find out that Doc Ock has been working with Carnage, and they want to try and create loads more symbiotes to basically turn the world into like a symbiote army for them, which is what the fog is for. It's supposed to be prepping people ready for symbiosis, and you end up going into the lab. They've caught Black Cat. Another funny thing from this is that cell that Black Cat's in, when you use the What If mode, she's in there and there's like a disco going on, like disco lights and music, and she starts saying that I've been drugged, I can't stop dancing. So she's just in there dancing. She's like, help me, I can't stop dancing. So you go through the lab and you have to close up the chimneys, which is another thing from the What If mode as well, because Spider-Man actually says, oh yeah, like a banana in a tailpipe. So the chimneys actually have bananas stuck in them, like giant bananas.
Oh my God.
So fucking dumb.
I wish more games did stuff like that.
Yeah, same.
But they, you go through and it's kind of more of the same, and then you end up fighting Carnage, which one of the easiest boss battles I found.
See, I kind of struggled with him a little bit.
You can just keep shooting him back into.
But you have to line up. You have to be by the wall and then have him between you and the sonic sphere, and then do your dome blast.
Yeah, I'm
takes
pretty sure I just stayed rooted to the same spot and did it.
Yeah,
I can't
guess.
remember. But
So in the world of Spider-Man, the symbiote's weaknesses is loud noises and fire, and there's this giant sonic bubble in the middle of the room, and you have to hit Carnage into it to damage him. But you said about trying to direct him into it. I tried at first to direct him into it, and then I just got to a point where I just started wailing on him, and it almost like on the second or third combo, it kind of just directed him into it anyway.
Huh.
And then, literally, when he was in the middle of it, I literally just kept pressing the web wrap, and it just kept him in there. And
If you have one of the
killed him in
unlimited,
moments.
if you have the unlimited web suit, you can just root him in there and then wait for the sonic wave to come back up.
Yeah, exactly. It's not hard.
Yeah.
No.
And then a quick fight with Doc Ock, and then, the Monster Ock. So Carnage's symbiote combines with Dr. Octopus, which is an exclusive character for this game. Never appeared in anything else, ever.
Monster Rock?
Yeah.
Huh.
You have to do a chase while everything's exploding. And I remember this being so fucking hard.
It was difficult. Like, this is
It was
Crash
still
Bandicoot
quite
on
tough.
crack.
Yeah.
It's real
because-
hard.
Because every now and again you have to remember to use R1 to kind of zip quickly at the end of a corridor,
Well, and
as well as obviously swinging between different levels, because you're trying to get up to the right level, right?
Yeah. Well, and you can't just run. You have to be web swinging.
Constantly.
And if you web swing too far, you'll stick to the wall. And then if you R1 up and then try to jump forward and don't do it right, you'll stick to the wall and then he'll catch up to you. But there were times where he actually got ahead of me and it didn't kill me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm just going to swing past you.
Strange.
Yeah.
Because it's another one of those where you have the meter at the top, and if he gets too close to that, it's instant
Yeah.
death, isn't it?
Yep.
And then there's the end.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Mega
How
Man.
fucking amazing is that title screen music?
Yeah, it's really good, actually.
The ending of this game is borderline retarded.
Go.
Oh, it's very weird.
They're all just sitting around playing Go Fish, and then so the superheroes are playing Go Fish, and then all of the villains that Spider-Man has put in jail are sitting in the cell playing Go Fish.
That Mysterio has a bandage around his fishbowl.
It's so dumb. It's such a stupid ending to the game. I mean, the game itself was kind of a stretch to begin with, but this was pushing it.
I'm not sure they really knew how to finish this one.
Like,
clearly.
do something.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I feel like we've flown through this, and it's because there probably isn't that much to say about it, because the story is so kind of disjointed, and
Yeah.
a lot of the levels are the same. We've kind of mentioned a few differences, but I feel like this game's difficulty comes from its jankiness.
Oh, yeah.
Like the actual levels and the enemies, bar
Yeah.
the symbiotes, were a pain in the ass. None of them particularly difficult. It's like you were always fighting with the controls or the camera.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like what's important to note, though, is that this game kind of laid the foundation and the framework for what future Spider-Man games were going to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, and this is why I wanted to play this one. I know Dan really wanted to play Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, and I think we should play that one day, because it's a fantastic game anyway. But this is the reason I wanted to. I mean, I said let's play a Spider-Man game around the time the PS4 one comes out.
Yeah.
This was the first, as far as I'm aware, the first time it kind of went into 3D, and to see those differences between where it is now and where it started, that's why I wanted to do this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like it's a good place to start, because otherwise it would be kind of weird to start somewhere in the middle of the 3D series and then go back to this one. So
This one spawned a sequel of its own as well, like we said earlier. And after having that bit of nostalgia for this game, I might actually play that second one and see if
Yeah.
it's any good. But I didn't realize this. I mean, I really enjoyed the audio in this anyway, but a lot of the voice actors from the Fox series that I used to love, they were actually reprised their role in this. I thought they sounded familiar.
Nice.
And that's Spider-Man on the PS1.
I give it a hearty
I still enjoy it. I was excited to play it because I remember playing it as a kid. Probably a similar experience to you, Mike. But yeah.
Yeah, I think if you like Spider-Man, I'd say play it. If you're indifferent about Spider-Man, I probably wouldn't bother. A lot of my love for it comes from nostalgia, playing it when I was younger, same with Tom. So,
Yeah.
why not? Give it a go.
Let's do some questions.
Yes.
All right.
You want to send
I've
us
got
a
'em up.
question? We usually put a post out on Facebook, facebook.com/group/factory sealed podcast. Mike always puts something that's semi-serious / borderline inappropriate.
I'm sorry.
Take it away.
All right. Some idiot called Daniel Curtis put, if Spider-Man joined forces with the Caramel Cran and Jock Buns, would they be able to stop the supervillain team of Dr. Smooth Area and the Hair?
Never.
No.
See, I think they would, because I imagine that Dr. Smooth Area and the Hair, although teaming up to vanquish a similar foe, due to their jealousy of one being completely smooth and one being completely hairy, I think it would get the better of them.
Oh, yeah.
John Fazio, I rented this from a video store as a kid. Does it still hold up in A capacity? Listen to the last 30 minutes. No, but in all seriousness, like I said, nostalgia-wise, yes. I think if you've not played it before and you don't care about Spider-Man, probably not. Jeremy Sanford, Spider-Man versus Piss Eyes. Describe the battle.
There's just a lot of stuff shooting out of a lot of orifices.
Gross.
Little do we know that Zach Foley's piss, combined with the eye fluid of Tyrone, is the exact chemical composition needed to dissolve Spider-Man's webs.
I like it.
One can hope. Dancy Gilbert said, this is a bit of a stretch, but when I was younger, I used to play a lot of the WWF/WWE wrestling games for the PlayStation. I would create all kinds of characters in their create a wrestler mode, especially superheroes. Did any of you have a similar experience?
I love WWF Attitude on the PlayStation, and I spent a lot of time in the create a wrestler, but I never made any superheroes. Can't remember what Aces make.
Did you ever copy the things online? So I remember GameFAQs.com had a very on the every wrestling game you went on, they'd have the standard message board, and then they'd have the create a wrestler message board, and everyone would go on there and they'd do the exact codes, because obviously you could as the games went on, you could go and set the eyes, and then eye color would be in a numerical on a numerical bar, and all the colors of the outfits and stuff that you do, and people would just put these huge pages and pages of people they created, and you'd copy those in. And I did Spider-Man and Batman and the Turtles, and
oh, that's so cool. I remember that though, where you'd be people be like, oh yeah, you need nose 6, lips 9, and this, and put it all in, and you get the right character. Yeah, it was sweet.
I used to love it. And choose this hair color, and you need to have it on brown 76. But they used to be really good. People would spend hours and days creating these perfect wrestlers, and then be on there. A bit of a lost art now in some ways, because the most recent, it's not a lost art because people still do it, but you don't have to write them down anymore, because you can just download them on the recent WWE games, and there's a bit actually on the game to share your downloads.
Oh wow.
And they do charts you can do top-rated created wrestler, or top-rated entrance, or top-rated arena and stuff like that. But I used to have spent a lot of time doing those. Yeah,
and something I loved about those games was the that you had blood on WWF Attitude, which you didn't have on the SmackDown games.
You do on the new ones. It's just automatically switched on off. You have to go into options. And turn it on. Yeah.
Nice.
What's the next question?
Ooh.
Oh God! Right, This has been answered, but I will go on. Anyway, Dalton Summit has said, we've all heard that tale of Zach Forley and how he created the terrible menace that is Piss Eyes. But I believe you have all neglected to ask the most important question of all, one that will determine whether or not he be damned or extolled throughout the land. Did Zach stand to wipe or sit to wipe after blinding that poor child?
It's a good question. It's one where, and there is a thread that follows this where it seems like there was a wipe. There was fluid motion between stand and shitting as to while pulling up my pantaloons. Danger wipe.
Oh, God. Mike Hallmark asked a question that is close to my heart, seeing as I've already mentioned it. What was your favourite saga from the 90s Spider-Man show, and did you guys like the 60s, 70s version? Mine was the Venom saga, and I'm excited to watch the new movie coming out. So the series that I'm talking about really gave me the love for superheroes and especially Spider-Man, but the things that I loved about it was it would have, even though each episode would have its own story, it had these overarching storylines going through it. Mm-hmm. So like a 6-episode stretch would be like he said, the Venom saga part 1, and then it'd have its own title for the episode. So they have these overarching things. And one of my favorites was I can't remember the actual name of the saga, what it's called, but it was when he was struggling with mutating further, and he mutates into the man spider.
Oh,
yeah. So he basically his powers start fucking up, and Doc Connor's the guy who turns into the lizard. He does some checks on him, and basically has found out that after the spider bite, he's still mutating further. And over the course of these few episodes, he ends up visiting the X-Men to talk about like being a mutant and things like that. So the X-Men are in it for a couple of episodes, and then like the Punisher is in it, and then he ends up actually turning into the man spider, which is this huge like hulking spider beast thing where he has no memory or control of who he is, and is stalking the city. And the Punisher is then involved as well. So the Punisher is like the main hero for a few episodes, and he's the one trying to track down the man spider and everything like that. It was so cool.
That's actually really cool. I had no idea that Spider-Man sort of would transition into the X-Men and world and all that sort of stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah, Blade was in it for a while. There was this this few episode stretch that had these like vampires, like this vampire involved. So sorry, I'm proper geeking out over a cartoon here, but there's these episodes where Peter leaves a bit of his blood in his locker randomly. I can't remember why. And this other scientist called Michael Morbius ends up experimenting with it, and then accidentally turns himself into a vampire. And Blade is in it, because obviously Blade's a Marvel character, so Spider-Man ends up teaming up with Blade for a few episodes to try and take down this vampire and stuff.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, ace. So good.
That's
I
sweet.
really want to revisit that cartoon. I really, really do.
Damn. Cool. I don't have any kind of saga because I didn't actually watch that show, but I would like to check it out.
Yeah, do it. It's so good. Like, as an adult, you realize certain things, though. So you realize that, and I read about this afterwards, even though there are kind of futuristic comic book things, but like the police randomly look at normal police officers, but instead of having guns, because of, I think it was Fox who got involved, they didn't want real guns in it. So like the police, although just normal standard policemen, have like laser guns really randomly. Like, and you'll notice as well, like, as you watch it, you notice that Spider-Man never, ever, ever, ever actually lands a punch on anyone. Like, he always misses, because obviously it's too violent if he punched people.
Like cleverly cutting away.
Well, not even just that, he just missed, and then he kicked them instead.
Apparently
kicking is less violent.
Not like in wrestling when like somebody would be about to hit somebody with a steel chair and it would just cut to a random person in the crowd.
Like, that was just censoring, though.
I know. It's just, as a kid, I was like, wow, why does the cameraman keep moving away just at the right moment?
Did you ever see how WCW did that?
No.
Censored theirs. So, like, where instead of cutting the camera away, where the steel chair would hit the person, like a huge, like, comic book, like, zap or bang or boom would, like, come over the top of it, like on the old school Batman series.
My God, I can't imagine that. You'll go have to YouTube it.
It was so fucking dumb. James Hall. Which is better, PS1 Spidey or Spider-Man 2? I did question him to see if he was on about Enter Electro or whether he was on about the PS2 movie tie-in, which is the one he was on about. So, Tom, which one do you prefer?
So I didn't play Enter Electro, and I actually don't think I've actually played the PS2 version either. I've played the first one, so Spider-Man the original on PS2, but not the movie tie-in. And I've done some reading, and I heard that the movie tie-in is actually a really, really good game. So,
oh yeah, it is.
Yeah,
you played Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, Eric, haven't you?
Yeah, bits and pieces of it.
As the foundations of an open world Spider-Man game, I remember it as being great.
Yeah.
Could be rose tinted glasses. I'm not sure.
I might see if I can grab it on GameCube.
Is it on GameCube?
I think so.
It must be.
I hope so.
It must be. Yeah, it's great. Really, really good. They nailed Doc Ock really well in it, like they did in the film.
Sweet.
Next question. One of you guys is going to have to help me here because I don't know what system this is from, but Andrew Thorson said one of you guys in last week's episode mentioned something about the original Spider-Man game when referring to the PSX game.
It looks like a 2600 game. It looks like an Atari 2600 game, but I can't confirm.
Yeah, that looks old school. That does.
This is what came to mind for me. Huh. Yeah, that's too old for me. That's before my time.
A few more questions here. Daniel Curtis sticks his nose in again and says, so as I'm not here this week, my question is, if the factory sealers had a superpower, what would they be? Dan's would be complaining.
Oh, God, moaning. The superpower of moaning people to death. Or stubbornness. Not spending money.
Thrifty man. Thrifty man.
Which spending money is your superpower, Eric.
Oh, God. I agree. Yeah. I
don't even know what mine would be.
Something to do with your pinky.
Yeah.
Mike's would be suffocating people in body hair.
Raising Pinky Man.
Yes.
I don't have much body hair. We've been through this.
It all migrated to your head.
Santos Lopez. If Mike Tyson and Zach Fawley were on the same show, who would end up insulting more people? Between Mike's women's period comments and Zach's hatred of midgets and peeping children, it would have to go down as the worst show ever. Make it happen.
I think it would just rub off and all of us would just jump on the bandwagon. And
saying things that we shouldn't be saying.
It probably would never get published. Because we all have futures of something.
Also, I feel like I should put Zach's defense here, because he said that let's be careful using the word hate as in hate crime. Let's just use the terms like whimsically accurate. That's really hard to say together.
Whimsically accurate.
Yes. That's hard to say those two words together. Or essentially skilled in physics. Also, I didn't hate the midget, just a healthy respect for the distance I need. Dalton Sutor, if you could shoot web out of any orifice, what would it be?
Dick hole. Next question.